Chapter 529 Visitors from the Heavenly Realm. Chapter 529 Visitors from the Heavenly Realm. Zhua Jinshuan 1. The message made Chen Xiang overjoyed. He hurriedly rushed out of the cave to find Ling Yulan and Xue Xianxian. The two girls were playing with the water on the beach, which led their bodies wet. Their thin and tight clothes shoe up fascinating curves, leaving Chen Xiang, who just experienced the Zul fulfillment, unconsciously turned on. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. If there is the first time, there will be the second and third. Chen Xiang recalled the joy he obtained when he made love with Xue Xianxian. Chen Xiang ran over and took out the Luotian gate. Dry your clothes. We're going back. The old man won. Chen Xiang laughed as he greedily swept his gaze at the two ladies' alluring and moist bodies. The two ladies let out a wave of heat and instantly dried their clothes. Brother, did you bring us here last time with this thing? Ling Yulan asked curiously. Exactly. That is your brother's treasure. I rely on it to escape. Chen Xiang laughed. More precious than your 2B-A-L-L-S? Ling Yulan asked with blinking eyes. Seeing Ling Yulan's serious expression, Xue Xianxian laughed coquettishly. Yulan, why do you keep thinking about your brother's B-A-L-L-S? Chen Xiang was also speechless. It was truly a terrifying thing that Ling Yulan, the violent girl, kept thinking of his B-A-L-L-S because she often said vulgarities like, I'll blow your B-A-L-L-S up. This was something she learned from her father. D-A-M. Ned girl, I already said that those two B-A-L-L-S are the root of my life. Go ask Sister Menger. She'll tell you in detail. Chen Xiang patted her head and pinched her face. Would you not be able to pee without those two B-A-L-L-S? Ling Yulan asked innocently, like a curious child. Chen Xiang felt a headache. Didn't you often say something about catching an egg or something? That's what it means. It's the most vicious attack against a man. You can use it against others, but never to me. It is pretty severe. And, of course, I should still be able to pee even without them. You two siblings stop chatting. Let's go back quickly. Although Xue Xianxian was smiling coquettishly, her face had completely blushed. Chen Xiang suddenly had an evil idea. He wanted to sacrifice something so that Ling Yulan could experience that kind of thing personally. This way, she would learn some knowledge. Of course, he knew that Xue Xianxian would not agree for the time being since Ling Yulan's feelings towards Chen Xiang were still very vague. After entering the spatial gate, they came to the outside of the demon subduing academy that had undergone a thorough change. The beautiful forest and hills were gone, everything was scorched black. Many high mountains had collapsed, and the earth was filled with cracks. However, the academy was basically intact, only two high halls of which collapsed. Chen Xiang released Zhua Jinshuan and was his savior. Therefore, he and the two ladies would definitely enjoy an easy life in the demon-subduing academy in the future. Thinking of this, he became excited and pulled the two girls' hands as he ran over. Along the way, he could see many students of the demon-subduing academy, their faces filled with fear and doubt. Just now, they felt as if the world was about to be destroyed, and they were still shocked by the majestic scene of battle. Seeing Chen Xiang carrying two beauties running towards the academy, all the male students were filled with jealousy and envy. At this moment, the demon-subduing academy had already calmed down, and there were also some bold people who ran towards it like Chen Xiang. For all the students of the demon-subduing academy, if you still want to stay in the school, then hurry up and gather at the Grand Martial Arts practice field. Zhua Jinshuan's voice was full of majesty, making it impossible for others to resist. The demon-subduing academy was also enveloped by his might. Although many people were puzzled, they knew very well that he could have killed all of them if he wanted. The Grand Martial Arts practice field was a huge square. Normally, it was the gathering place of students at the academy, but now on the high platform laid several corpses of old men. All of them died very miserably. Some of them got their heads shattered, and others were crushed into flesh and blood. Only the principal Lu Yufang was still alive, but her face was pale white, and her head was stepped on by Zhuo Jinshuan on the ground. When the students who came here saw this scene, they couldn't help but HI+ver in fear, since the incomparably formidable principal and those mysterious elders were all defeated by Zhuo Jinshuan. Everyone was immediately filled with fear towards this old man, Zhuo Jinshuan. This kind of strength was extremely rare in the mortal world. Many people thought that Zhuo Jinshuan was here to destroy the demon-subduing academy, but they felt more at ease as they saw the Chancellor Zhao Ting, Yu Baixiang and other teachers standing behind him. I am Zhuo Jinshuan, the former Princ. 1p. Al of the demon-subduing academy. 300 years ago, this old woman colluded with these BASTARDS to conspire against me. They imprisoned me in the dungeon. For tens of thousands of years, my contributions to the school had been erased from the annals of history by this wicked woman. The teachers behind me can testify to this. From today onwards, I will reinstate my administration of the demon-subduing academy. Zhuo Jinshuan's voice was loud and clear, resonating in all directions. It was like thunder in everyone's ears, making them feel powerless. Those who don't want to stay in the academy can leave now. I will not prevent you. Many students were dissatisfied with Principal Lu Yufang because she always protected those who violated the rules, which led those bad guys acting tyrannically in the academy and bullying the weak. Now that Zhuo Jinshuan had displayed his powerful strength, the crowd had no choice but to accept it. Humph! Zhuo Jinshuan gave a cold snort and kicked Lu Yufang in front of Chen Xiang. Everyone was shocked again as they saw such a scene. Why did Zhuo Jinshuan kick Lu Yufang to Chen Xiang? Soon, everyone remembered that Chen Xiang had escaped from the dungeon. They began to guess that it was Chen Xiang who released Zhuo Jinshuan. Chen Xiang, it really is you. I should never have locked you in the dungeon. Lu Yufang said malevolently, her face full of regret. I said, I will not rest until you die. Chen Xiang's expression turned ice-cold as a green light flashed in his hand and the azure dragon Devil Slayer appeared. A cold killing intent gushed out from the blade, causing the people around him to HI+ver. Lu Yufang suddenly laughed sinisterly, but it was as if she was crying. Chen Xiang, are you really going to kill me? I've already informed the Demon Suppression God Shrine. It won't take long for someone descends from the heavenly realm, and all of you will die by then. So what? Chen Xiang raised his broadsword while Zhuo Jinshuan's expression turned serious. He knew that Lu Yufang was telling the truth. However, he wasn't worried at all, because he could blame all of this to Chen Xiang. He could claim that he killed those accomplices for revenge, and it was Chen Xiang who killed Principal Lu Yufang. Beside, the Demon Suppression God Shrine could hardly find another formidable principal if they put him down. Just as Chen Xiang was about to slash down with his blade, a powerful spatial energy suddenly came from the sky. A huge cyclone appeared in the dark blue sky and an extremely powerful aura came out from it. Chapter 530 Eclipse. Chapter 530 Eclipse. A threatening aura crazily surged in the sky, creating a breathtaking atmosphere that made everyone unable to breathe. A middle-aged man in a white robe suddenly appeared from within the whirlpool in a peaceful manner. The aura released by the middle-aged man was very strong. He was currently looking at Chen Xiang and frowning slightly, after which a wave of pressure immediately enveloped Chen Xiang's body, almost causing him to kneel on the ground. Chen Xiang's blood rushed in all directions due to the invisible pressure. He almost vomited blood. Then he secretly clenched his teeth and circulated his dragon force. The dragon power shook within his body and dispersed the pressure, following by a highly raised slayer that fiercely chopped down. Keep him alive! The scholarly middle-aged man let out an explosive shout as he waved his hand to release a ray of light. At the same time, His entire body suddenly flashed and appeared in front of Chen Xiang. He released a white light that hit Chen Xiang, but Chen Xiang knew ahead that he was going to make a move, so he used the water mirror technique to dodge it. The white light landed on the illusionary statue and poured into the ground. The force was highly concentrated. It straightly penetrated to deep earth and exploded beneath it, causing a considerable chaos just when the middle-aged man thought that he killed Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang's blade had landed on Lu Yufang's neck. Lu Yufang's body was suppressed by a pressure. Now that her head was suddenly severed, the blood that was churning in her body spewed out. It was like a fountain as it violently sprayed onto the middle-aged man's body. The entire crowd was in an uproar. Everyone was alarmed as they looked at the fountain of blood sprinkling onto the elegant middle-aged man in white. Everyone could guess that this middle-aged man was probably sent by the demon suppression God shrine of above the heavenly realm, but no one expected that Chen Xiang dared to behead Lu Yufang in front of him. This young man really got the gut. Even the elegant middle-aged man did not expect it. He originally thought that Chen Xiang would stop, but at the same time Chen Xiang dodged his attack. He also cut off Lu Yufang's head. His speed was so fast that the middle-aged man was speechless. Now his body was covered by blood, and a hideous head was placed on the ground in front of him. Lu Yufang originally thought that she had been saved and was in high spirits, but she never expected that Chen Xiang would be such a bold person. Although Heavenly Realm sent a delegate down, he still dared to kill her with his saber. Everyone present swallowed their saliva. The scholarly middle-aged man was also stunned. He glared at Chen Xiang and said, "You, how dare you? Go death." The middle-aged man was extremely angry. He felt like he had been provoked by an ant. He waved his hand to release a powerful energy, accompanied by a so-so sound, creating a strong shockwave as it charged towards Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang wanted to escape, but Zhuozhenxuan suddenly leaped over. He pushed out both his palms, blocking the force into the sky, creating a gust of air and a whooze. Hi+ing sound. Although you are sent by the demon suppression God shrine, you should still act according to the rules of the mortal realm. You haven't figured out what's going on, while you have attacked someone who's so much weaker than you twice. If the message is leaked out, the demon suppression God shrine will definitely lose all its face. Zhuozhenxuan said coldly. He wasn't afraid of that middle-aged man. Chen Xiang let out a slight sigh of relief. He was terrified when that scholarly middle-aged man appeared. He did not plan on killing Lu Yufang, but that refined middle-aged man wanted to kill him, which provoked him to make the cold-blooded decision of beheading her. Don't worry, this fellow's strength is not as strong as your master. No one could use the strength exceeding the 8th level of Nirvana realm in the mortal world, except in the profound realm. Long Shui said. Once one said the 9th level of the Nirvana realm, he or she would be sensed by a mysterious power, then sucked into the heavenly realm. No one could escape the fate. Therefore, someone with Huang Jintian's strength could only hide in the profound realm. This elegant middle-aged man's was at most with relatively thick true qi. Otherwise, his attack would not be easily blocked by Zhuozhenxuan. Zhuozhenxuan had a certain amount of resentment towards the demon suppression God shrine, since it made the decision of locking him in the dungeon, thus he naturally had to protect Chen Xiang at this moment. The scholarly middle-aged man looked at Lu Yufang then Zhuozhenxuan before coldly saying, Lu Yufang colluded with some people to usurp the position and use resources of Demon Subduing Academy for her own benefits. We have already investigated this point clearly. Even though this is the case, she will not be punished to deaths. Besides, it's not that boy's turn to behead her. The middle-aged man stared at Chen Xiang and shouted, My name is Jing Chu. I was sent by the demon-suppressing God shrine of the heavenly realm to deal with the urgent matters of the demon-subduing academy. His voice shook the sky and his imposing manner caused everyone extremely uncomfortable. They all secretly hated this person called Jingchu. Heavenly Realm sent someone down, which was fine, but he released such a pressure to frighten them, which was intolerable. Are you from the Demon Subduing Academy? After Jingchu revealed his identity. 1. Tai, his tone became even more forceful. It seemed that he had to punish Chen Xiang in order to intimidate these people. Yes, Chen Xiang replied. He was also prepared to escape at any time. Seeing his fearless expression, both Xue Xianxian and Ling Yulan let out a sigh of relief. Lu Yufang should have not been executed due to her crimes, and you don't have the authority to kill her, so you have to undertake a severely punishment. Jingchu snapped. Punishment? Chen Xiang's brows twitched. I have a grudge against Lu Yufang, and it is only a personal matter for me to kill her. What does that have to do with you? You bulls. Hi+T. Jingchu was infuriated. True qi in his body exploded out, inducing to earthquake and mountains shook. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. However, he only saw a smile on Chen Xiang's face. After that, a stream of water shot out from beneath Chen Xiang's feet and Chen Xiang disappeared. The water escape art of Black Tortoise Divine Technique allowed people to quickly escape to the place with water the closest to him. At this moment, Chen Xiang's true qi is very thick, so the speed at which he used the water escape art became even faster, allowing him to escape even further. In the blink of an eye, he had appeared in a river very far away from the Demon Subduing Academy. B-A-S-T-A-R-D. How stifled I am. I don't even have the power to defense against such a guy. Chen Xiang said with sacred. His strength was too weak. Not to mention those who had survived the 8 tribulations of the Nirvana realm. He couldn't even deal with 100 smelting realm martial artists. Right now, he couldn't wait to let his strength soar. Chen Xiang sat by the riverbank and recovered his profound true qi, but the sky gradually darkened. He raised his head and saw that the raging flames in the sky had already been partially blocked. Eclipse. This was the first time he had seen such a scene. After observing the phenomena, he hurriedly took out his Luotian gate and looked for locations close to the Sun and Moon Island. He had obtained a map from the Medicine King, Li Tianjun, which recorded that there was the top 1 profound realm in the Sun and Moon Island, and it was the biggest treasure trove in the mortal realm. Inside it were many precious spiritual medicines. Li Tianjun was chased down by many people just because he got the news about this profound realm. World's top 1 profound realm opened only in the time of eclipse. Chen Xiang had missed it once, so he absolutely could not afford to miss it this time. Chapter 531 Supreme Treasure Profound Realm. Chapter 531 Supreme Treasure Profound Realm. Inside the Demon Subduing Academy, Rage Jingchu was blaming Zhuo Zhenxuan fiercely. Actually, he couldn't punish Zhuo Zhenxuan because Zhuo had trained his demon subduing force to the 10th level. This was something that even Jingchu himself couldn't do, neither were many people in the heavenly realm. Moreover, the academy needed a powerful person to guard it, and Zhuo Zhenxuan was the best candidate. Although he killed a few powerful elders, this proved that he alone could match up to those elders and Lu Yufang. I must kill this kid called Chen Xiang. How dare he provoke me? He doesn't put me in his eyes at all. Jingchu said angrily. He never thought that Chen Xiang would actually slip away from under his nose. This was also a great insult to him. Zhuo Zhenxuan shook his head with a sigh and asked, Elder, you don't come down the Demon Subduing Academy to deal with such a trifling matter, do you? I remember that you have a high position in the Demon Suppression G.O.D. Shrine. You have control over the immortals. How could such a small matter disturb you? Jingchu frowned. You really know a lot of me. No wonder. You've been a principal for so long and have communicated with the Demon Suppression G.O.D. Shrine many times. You've also come into contact with a lot of people from the heavenly realm, but I want to know who mentioned me to you? Haha, Elder Jing is so young. He only spent 500 years to pass the 8th nirvana tribulations. When people from the demon suppression G.O.D. shrine came and chatted with them, most of them talked about this matter. Zhuo Zhenxuan laughed. His flattery didn't hurt at all, and it was pretty effective. It was precisely because Jing Chu had a high position in the demon suppression God shrine that he was provoked by Chen Xiang over and over again when he came to the mortal realm. This made him extremely angry. Jing Chu looked out the window and said, "Do you know why the sky is suddenly dark now?" Zhuo Zhenxuan's brows furrowed as he looked out of the dark window. As the eclipse occurs, the supreme treasure profound realm would open. It's said that even the heavenly realm is interested in this mysterious supreme treasure profound realm. It seems like the tale is true. There's nothing we can do about this either. The great war of the three realms is about to begin, and there is a shortage of resources. The rich resources contained within this supreme treasure profound realm can alleviate the Sing environment of martial artists in the bottom level of the heavenly realm. Jing Chu nodded. Zhuo Zhenxuan was a little dissatisfied. This is a profound realm in the mortal realm. How can you send the resources inside there to the heavenly realm? It's not just us who are watching on it. The Fire God Shrine and other forces of the mortal realm that have people in the heavenly realm also know about the supreme treasure profound realm. You're not in the heavenly realm, so you don't know that the map of the supreme treasure profound realm is everywhere. If we don't go, others will go as well. Jing Chu said. Really? Is there really a map? Zhuo Zhenxuan had stayed in the mortal realm for many years, but he had only heard of the top on profound realm, but he didn't know the exact location. Why else do you think the upper levels would take efforts to send you here? Jing Chu took out a map and said, "It is right here. This island is called Sun Moon Island. The eclipse will last for at least a month, so we still have a month." An old man suddenly appeared in the lobby of the Divine Martial Hall on the King's continent. "This is a map. We need to find the Sun Moon Island. At that time, many forces will surely rush into the supreme treasure profound realm. I want to prepare for the worst." Similarly, on the King's continent, the Hall Master of the Fire God Shrine had urgently gathered all the experts of the hall. He had a map in his hands as well. Not only the ancient powers on the King's continent, all people who had ascended into the heavenly realm had also obtained the map. Many of the outstanding individuals from the sects in the mortal world would be attracted by the heavenly realm when they ascended. They did so for the benefit of their original sections. Of course, there were only a few forces that could transport goods from the mortal realm to the heavenly realm. "Master, I received news from above about the top on profound realm under the heavens. I obtained a map of it, and now is also the time for the eclipse, thus the upper level sent me to take a look at the supreme treasure profound realm." Gu Dongchen said from beside the huge crater. "Then go for it. Be careful. The situation in the mortal martial realm is getting more and more complicated. It seems that no one with sufficient strength will come after me to intimidate us." Huang Jintian said. Many sects had existed for tens of thousands of years, or even more than 100,000 years, and there were some headmasters who had ascended into the heavenly realm. At this moment, they were all using their greatest strength to spread the news of the top one profound realm. But now, Chen Xiang was complacent and thought that he could take the entire profound realm for his own, but he didn't know that there were many powerful old fellows ing towards Sun Moon Island, nor did he know that the profound realm was called the supreme treasure profound realm in the heavenly realm. It's really far away. I cannot arrive at the Sun Moon Island in one go with my current strength, but need to take 10 steps. Chen Xiang held onto the Luotian gate and found the location of the Sun Moon Island. This meant that Wu Songhong had also been to the Sun Moon Island. It was completely dark, and such a state would last for a month, so Chen Xiang only had a month of time. Otherwise, the top one profound realm would close, and he would have to wait until the next time to open it. Chen Xiang used Luotian Gate to open up a spatial gate. After entering it, he went to the sea and then continued opening the spatial gate. After 13 consecutive times, he finally arrived at the Sun Moon Island. The Sun Moon Island was a humongous round island. At this moment, there was a layer of white light surrounding it. The center of the island was Gus Hi+ing with an extremely dense wave of yin qi, causing people to feel incomparably cold after entering. This is indeed a strange place. The profound realm deserves the name, so as every other profound realms. Chen Xiang looked in disbelief at the huge spatial rift that was slowly opening in the middle of the Sun Moon Island. From afar, it looked like a huge door that emitted a white glow as it slowly opened up. This is the legendary top 1 profound realm in the world. Who would have thought that I am the person who obtains it after Li Junji, the king of Dan? Chen Xiang laughed and ran towards the center of Sun Moon Island. What a powerful spatial power! This profound realm isn't simple. It's very solid. If your strength isn't enough, then you must use your Luotian Gate to get into it. Long Shui said. From afar, the huge crevice in the middle of the Sun Moon Island looked like a white light shooting up into the sky. However, when he walked in and took a look, the entrance was shockingly large, causing Chen Xiang to feel as if it was a gate of heaven. From within, waves of dense spirit qi came out but was quickly absorbed back. What he didn't know was that there were already many top mortal martial realm martial artists Hi+ing over fast. Moreover, he was very familiar with these old fellows. I have something good to eat. Long Shui giggled. Chen Xiang was very generous to her right now because he could quickly create a large amount of elixirs with the divine liquid, so he had a rich reservation. Chen Xiang walked into the huge crevice, then stepped into a Pa-S sage filled with white light. After he stepped out of the Pa-S sageway, he heard the crisp roar of beasts and an incomparably dense spirit qi rushed out. What is going on with this profound realm? I remember that the days and nights in the profound realm should be the same as they are outside. It's in an eclipse right now in outside world. Chen Xiang looked at the countless green mountains before him in bewilderment. At this moment, he felt that it wasn't a profound realm, but a great world. Chapter 532 The Sun Moon Island. Chapter 532 The Sun Moon Island. After taking a few steps forward in a plateau, Chen Xiang's expression suddenly changed, because he suddenly felt not able to circulate his true qi, as if it had been cut off from him. He could feel the true qi in his body, but could not to use it. It was the same situation when he was in the profound martial realm. Even Long Shui, who had a large amount of memory inheritance, did not know how the profound realm was formed. However, it could be confirmed that some of the profound realm had been modified by some powerful martial artist by adding some powerful formations and restrictions. It's too unsettling that I cannot use my true qi. Chen Xiang took out the Azure Demon Subduing Slayer. The weight of this divine saber was still there and increased as his strength elevated. I can also use Black Tortoise Armament Armor. Chen Xiang released his Black Tortoise Armament Armor, wrapping it around his body, which made him extremely majestic and handsome. Even after confirming that these life-saving items were usable, Chen Xiang still couldn't feel at ease. He took out the Luotian Gate and activated with his divine sense, but Luotian Gate could not extract the true qi within his body. Such a formidable spatial weapon was also constrained. We got some trouble. Luotian Gate was the thing that Chen Xiang used to flee. He was in the top 1 profound realm in the world, while no one knew the dangers within. Thus he had to be considerate with his actions. Right now, he could only use his magic power and divine sense. He easily transformed into a bird by performing the 72 transformation technique, which was a method he used to conceal himself, especially in the forest. After switching back to human force, He began to spell the chant and released out his magic power, then spirit chi raised up in the sky far away and crazily gathered together. That was the heavenly dragon magic seal. Although it was unable to extract the true chi in his body, the technique could condense the spirit chi in the sky for him to take attack. However, the process would take some time. Hearing the gloomy howls coming from all directions, Chen Xiang lightly took a breath. I'm going all out. The further away he got from the entrance, the heavier he felt, as if his body was pressed down by 1,000 pounds. It seems like I've truly entered the top one profound realm now. There was actually such a strong pressure. If the demon beasts and plants here are also affected by this pressure, then they must be strong. Chen Xiang was slightly excited in his heart, since the magical flowers and GRAs that were able to survive in this environment must have a supreme quality. Of course, the beasts would also be stronger. It's about 20 times gravity here, which means the gravity you are currently bearing is as heavy as 20 of your weight. Long Xue's voice was somewhat surprised. The time is also different from the outside. 10 days inside only count for 1 day outside. This is a world of high quality. The better the quality of a world, the harder it would be to collapse. For example, the heavenly realm was much more stable than the mortal realm and had a dense amount of spirit chi. 20 times gravity? I feel nothing different. Chen Xiang faintly smiled. He felt excited as he thought of finding rare elixirs here. Walking into the depths of the forest, Chen Xiang discovered that all the plants here had very strong vitality, and their recovery ability was also formidable. He hacked a knife into the tree trunk, but it only took a moment for it to recover. Beside, the trunk was very solid, that he could only cut in a little bit of it. What a pity! If only I could absorb the vital spirit chi here. Chen Xiang circulated his Tai Chi dragon subduing technique, but he was unable to absorb nothing. Try devouring demonic art. Bai Yu said. Although the devouring demonic art was not an offensive technique, for Bai Yu it was a technique that was even more powerful than many divine and demonic arts, since it devoured. In fact, Chen Xiang took a lot of advantages of learning the devouring demonic art. What surprised Chen Xiang was that the moment he used the devouring demonic art, a large amount of spirit chi suddenly entered his body to his dantian, then began to refine itself, but he still could not use it. These spirit chi contains a very rich vitality that can accelerate the growth of the elixir, while you have not found even a single useful elixir after walking for half a day. It seems like the elixir should be planted in a designated place. Su Meiyao said. She was very familiar with spiritual medicines, and she observed that no elixir was present among the large amount of plants along the way. Once again, Chen Xiang took out the map of the top one profound realm. The map merely shewed nothing but a route to the Sun-Moon Island, while Chen Xiang had watched it for many times. But now that he had taken out the map suddenly floated out and spread out horizontally. On it slowly appeared a few golden spirit patterns, after which the surrounding spirit chi flowed into the map, causing Chen Xiang to be dumbstruck. Li Tianjun is indeed a mythical person. Even the map he drew is so magical. Chen Xiang sighed in admiration. Right now, the map had already turned gold, and on it was a simple map of this top one profound realm. One of the locations was marked with a red dot, which Chen Xiang guessed was the location of the elixir. This profound realm is really huge. It's actually even bigger than the King's continent. Chen Xiang looked at the map and deduced the size of the profound realm. The place he was currently at was the edge of it. Even though he had walked for more than half a day, he was still at the edge, whereas the red dot located on the northeastern edge of the realm. He was at the southernmost point, while he could not use the vermilion bird fire wings nor true chi. This way it would take him a very long time to get there, at least half a year for the round trip. Fortunately, the rate of time elapsing here was different than outside, otherwise it would be impossible for him to arrive at the red dot within a month. Half a day after Chen Xiang entered the realm, a large group of people had gathered in Sun Moon Island that was illuminated by white light. These people were bustling, talking, laughing, and also mocking each other. They were the powerful martial artists from numerous continents, in a total of 70 to 8 individuals. Gu Dongchen, Lian Mingdong, and Xiao Ziliang were the only ones who came from the Chenwu continent. The remaining people were all quite surprised at the time, especially not seeing Lu Menger, the female emperor, and Hua Xiangyue from the Dan Garden. Lu Menger's heavenly kingdom of divine weapon had a very long history, while Hua Xiangyue was a famous alchemist grandmaster of the mortal martial realm, but none of them were coming. They didn't know that Lu Menger and Hua Xiangyue were both preparing for the 8th Nirvana tribulation. The Hall Master of Fire God Shrine snorted coldly as he saw Gu Dongchen. The kid from your extreme martial sect does not come? This is really unexpected. I wished to bring him here as well, but I couldn't find him. Gu Dongchen smiled lightly. You're talking about Chen Xiang, ain't you? This brat offended an impressive fellow. An imposing aura suddenly enveloped them, causing the 70 or 80 experts to be shocked. This level of aura was something that they had only seen when facing Huang Jintian. However, this person wasn't Huang Jintian, but someone else. Zhuo Zhenxuan and Jing Chu had arrived. Their 2 auras were released at the same time, which intimated many people. I am Zhuo Zhenxuan, the principal of Demon Subduing Academy. Zhuo Zhenxuan smiled. I am Jing Chu, a temporary elder of the Demon Subduing Academy. I just came down from the heavenly realm and saw Chen Xiang killing the former principal of the academy. If any of you have a trace of Chen Xiang, please let me know. I will pay a great award for it. Jing Chu could not conceal the anger on his face when he talked about Chen Xiang. It was pretty stunning for those people to see a person coming down from the heavenly realm. Immediately, all of their shoe reverence as they looked at Jing Chu. Chapter 533 Blackstone Dragon. Chapter 533 Blackstone Dragon. Seeing the expressions of the crowd, Jing Chu was full of pride showing on his face. From his perspective, those who born in the mortal realm would definitely be inferior to him, thus he looked down on them from the bottom of his heart. Of course, no one thought that Chen Xiang would offend such a fellow. Everyone was just reminiscing with old friends and flew towards that huge white crevice. They went inside to get those elixir, and if necessary, they might even fight with their old friends. After the experts entered the top 1 profound realm, they immediately felt that something wasn't right. Their expressions changed greatly, and they were all shocked because they couldn't use their true qi. If that was the case, then they could only rely on their own physical body to deal with the danger. Moreover, there was a certain amount of gravity in this place. Many people were considering whether or not to leave this place, because the occasional beast roar carried a lot of power, whereas it would be extremely dangerous if they got sieged by demons and beasts while not able to use true qi. Soon enough, someone made the decision to retreat, then quite a few people followed out. However, there were still 50 experts that didn't fear at all. The top 1 profound realm was huge. The crowd dispersed and chose their own paths and searched for the rich resources. They knew that they didn't have much time here, so they immediately scattered. At this moment, Chen Xiang was walking through a canyon which was rather gloomy and dark. Beside, there were some caves in the walls of the canyon, as if there were something powerful hidden inside. His pace suddenly became very slow, and he didn't make any sound as he walked. His aura was also restrained, because he felt that the danger was right in front of him in the huge caves on both sides of the mountain wall. This aura seems to be the Blackstone Dragon. Long Shui suddenly exclaimed. Blackstone Dragon? You mean the creature evolving from the Blackstone Python? Chen Xiang's heart skipped a beat. This sort of thing was extremely powerful. Exactly. Long Shui reminded him. Be careful. Kill them if you could, then take out their beast cores. You can eat their beast cores. Just as Long Shui finished her words, Chen Xiang observed a black shadow suddenly flying out from a cave and came over. Chen Xiang had been on alert the entire time. When he saw something attacking him, he evaded and simultaneously took out the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer. On the other hand, the Black Stone Dragon did not run into Chen Xiang, but plunged into the rocky ground. Without a python's body, black stone-like scales covering its body, horns on its head and claws, the creature looked like a small dragon. However, it was very different from a dragon, but it had a domineering aura that the python did not possess. Even Chen Xiang could clearly feel its physical strength from the side. The black stone dragon let out a roar and swept its tail towards Chen Xiang. Not only did Chen Xiang not dodge, he even slashed down with great speed. Even though he did not use true qi, the speed of his blade was still as fast as before. The blade sliced through the air as if it wanted to split a crack. It ruthlessly smashed against the huge tail that was sweeping over. The edge of the blade hacked down on the stiff tail, causing the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer to let out a dragon's roar and a black clump of soil. Chen Xiang was also blown away by the impact and crashed into the wall, but the black stone dragon also let out a painful cry. The enraged creature roared and opened its B-L-O-O-D-Y mouth to swallow Chen Xiang. Its speed was as fast as the wind, and the burst of energy caused the stones on the ground to be reduced to dust. That's it. You can't use true qi either. Chen Xiang suddenly waved his arm fiercely and steadily, just like waves of wind of saber. With an invincible power as he rushed towards the black stone dragon's B-L-O-O-D-Y mouth. The fierce power exploded from the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer and entered the black stone dragon's mouth, instantly shattering its teeth, pouring into its throat and then plussing back to its tail. Although the black stone dragon had a stu-dy skin, it was extremely weak inside. After its long body was thoroughly attacked by such a wave of formidable force, everything inside got destroyed. The black stone dragon suffered a lot as it let out waves of mournful cries and rolled around. Thanks to Long Xue's sense, Chen Xiang found the location of the black rock dragon's beast core. He raised his divine blade high up in the air and chopped the beast down to two halves. Extremely hot blood was flooding out with very dense sense of life, then a fist-sized round crystal plus veering green light came out along with its blood and organs. Such small. Chen Xiang frowned. However, when he held it in his hand, he discovered that the beast core of the black stone dragon contained very pure energy, which made him surprised, since such a power should be in the level of soul martial realm, hence the creature that carried it must be a profound beast. Be careful. Long Xue suddenly reminded him. Chen Xiang also felt a wave of air currents coming over. He leaped 100 feet away and saw another black stone dragon flying out of a cave. What made him amazed was that these black stone dragons were all fighting one-on-one. However, he would not be afraid even if all of them came out together. Currently, he already understood the strength of these creatures. They could not use true qi, so their strength would be greatly reduced. They could only rely on a powerful physical body to attack, but Chen Xiang had the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer, which could cut through diamonds, not to mention these rock-like scales. Roar! The black stone dragon let out a roar as its thick body suddenly became extremely nimble. Its speed was as fast as lightning as it pounced towards Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang only let out a sneer. He didn't use the Azure Dragon Demon Slaughtering Slayer. Instead, he threw a palm at the huge B-L-O-O-D-Y mouth, following by 5 consecutive explosions. Even though he couldn't use true qi, a surge of energy had been generated in Chen Xiang's body. One could only possess such kind of energy flow after he trained his body for thousands of times. At that moment, Chen Xiang utilized this sort of energy to perform demon subduing force. At the same time the sound of demon subduing force was heard, it pierced through the black stone dragon's throat. After that, waves of blood mist bursted forth from its throat to tail. It was totally blown by the demon's subduing force. Before Chen Xiang could take out the beast core, another black shadow flashed over. Perfect timing. Chen Xiang took a step forward and unleashed another palm. The demon subduing force exploded again and pierced through the black stone dragon's rigid rock scales, knocking out its beast core. After losing its beast core, the black stone dragon died instantly. One after another, these black stone dragons were so stupid that Qin Xiang could not believe. In just a short period of time, there had been 30 of them coming to their death. Qin Xiang used either his demon subduing force or his divine saber to slaughter those huge black stone dragons one by one. After killing them, Qin Xiang took out their beast cores and concealed their corpses properly. Someone's coming. It's Zhuo Jinxuan and Jing Chu. Long Xue suddenly shouted with a surprised voice. Chapter 534 Reversion. Chapter 534 Reversion. Although this canyon was not a necessary passageway, it was the shortest route. It was obvious that Zhuo Jinxuan and Jing Chu had the map of the top one profound realm for them to claim. It surprised Chen Xiang a lot that there were other people entering this top one profound realm through exactly the same path he took. We'll be arriving very soon. These two guys seem to be riding on some sort of powerful magical equipment, so they move very fast. Long Xue said. Chen Xiang hurriedly jumped into the cave of a black rock dragon and hid within. Xue, can you please delay Zhuo Jinxuan, or lure him away, which would be the best? Although I'm this guy's savior, I'm worried that he will stop me from killing Jing Chu later. Chen Xiang said as he clenched his fist tightly. He must make use of this opportunity to slaughter Jing Chu. No problem. As Long Xue spoke, she turned into a ray of white light and flew out of Chen Xiang's body. At this moment, Chen Xiang saw Long Xue rush Hi+ing towards a rapidly approaching object and accurately striking Zhuo Jinxuan, knocking him off his feet. Following that, a huge tornado with a white glow suddenly appeared. Zhuo Jinxuan was sucked into the tornado before he was flung far away. That's all I can do. Long Xue did it aptly, causing Chen Xiang to click his tongue. In just a short moment, she had taken Zhuo Jinxuan away. Jing Chu came down from the heavenly realm. Chen Xiang was worried that Zhuo Jinxuan would join forces with Jing Chu to attack him in order to secure his position as principal. At that time, it would be difficult for Chen Xiang to make a move. Jing Chu stopped. Only then did Chen Xiang see that Jing Chu was riding a huge rune which was glowing and flying very fast. This was the first time Chen Xiang had seen something like this. Is that black stone dragon? It stinks down there. Jing Chu noticed that there were many traces of blood on the black rock dragon. He frowned slightly. Who is it? Don't be so sneaky. Jing Chu quickly came to the conclusion that someone killed many black stone dragons here before. This canyon led to the place where the spiritual medicines were planted. Jing Chu and the others had to ride powerful spiritual talismans in order to arrive here fast, but now there were individuals that had arrived earlier than them and ambushed them, which turned him surprised. It's me. Chen Xiang laughed sinisterly as he summoned the hands of G.O. D of Slaughter and the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer. Power of the former became even stronger as it was released by the tiger skin gloves. A cold killing intent accompanied by a sharp saber energy covered the sky and rushed towards Jing Chu. Although this blade was not chopped with Chen Xiang's horribly dense true qi, the aura it released was still majestic and shocking. Its speed was as fast as lightning as it violently chopped down from Jing Chu's head, giving rise to waves of tornado-like energy. Chen Xiang. Jing Chu was extremely shocked. In that short moment, he hastily dodged and let Chen Xiang hack the flying talisman into pieces. Although he missed the first attack, Chen Xiang did not feel that it was a pity. He reversed his hand and chopped once again brought forth a swift and fierce slash that carried with it an explosive, pa 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 sound. It shook the air and swept everything in its path, condensing an extremely terrifying force that was as fast as lightning, as if it could pierce through everything in the world and stab towards Jingchu. With a so sound, the powerful force Pennsylvania's said through and pierced through Jingchu's left shoulder, hitting the mountain wall and leaving a fist-sized hole on it. The hole was so deep that one couldn't see the bottom. Jingchu had said the eighth nirvana tribulation, thus his reaction and speed far said those of the extreme realm cultivators. Hence Qin Xiang's two quick and violent attacks were unable to kill him. Qin Xiang had gathered all of his aura and strength into those two strikes. Now that he hasn't been hit, his aura has also receded quite a bit. He had to start from the beginning. Both of their feet touched the ground at the same time. Qin Xiang's previous two strikes were completed when they fell. It was clear how fast he was. Qin Xiang expressed rich killing intent on his face. His entire body surged with killing intent like a dragon. His firm and cold eyes clearly showed his determination to kill Jingchu. Seeing his expression, Jingchu was pretty terrified. An unprecedented fear rose up in his heart. He had just witnessed Qin Xiang's strength as well as that monstrous killing aura. "You want to kill me?" Jingchu suddenly became so angry unconsciously. He let out a loud roar. He was an elite who dominated immortals in the heavenly realm, but now a man merely at the extreme realm intended to kill him. This caused him to feel that his dignity was being trampled upon. Qin Xiang brandished his divine saber, then a series of crackling sounds could be heard. As Qin Xiang chopped down his weapon, a wave of incomparably tyrannical demon-subduing force condensed into a point and shot towards Jingchu. "Of course I can kill you since you want to kill me." Following his words, Qin Xiang once again used his demon-subduing force to pierce through Jingchu's body. This time, it was on his right shoulder. Even not using true qi, the strength that Qin Xiang displayed was beyond Jingchu's imagination, especially the terrifying force flow. It was something as powerful as true qi, and could only be produced after the body had been repeatedly tempered and smelted in a furnace. Only a very diligent cultivator could make it. "You!" Just as Jingchu said this word, a burst of energy rushed out from under Qin Xiang's feet. His entire body was like an arrow shot out of the mystery as he flew towards Jingchu. Humph! Qin Xiang used his blade to slap Jingchu's face, sending him flying into the mountain wall. With the hand of God of Slaughter and Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer, Qin Xiang was extremely formidable in an environment where no one could use true qi, causing Jingchu to be incomparably afraid. Seeing Qin Xiang attack him one after another without any scruples, Jingchu realized that Qin Xiang would really kill him, while he had not even the chance to retaliate. Jingchu, who laid on the ground, was just about to get up when he saw Qin Xiang leaping high into the sky, then suddenly fell down like a steel plate, after which his foot trampled on Jingchu's left ton. Crack! Jingchu's nirvana realm flesh body and his bones that he had refined with powerful true qi for many years were both crushed. His flesh and blood splattering everywhere, and he let out a mournful roar. At that moment, Jingchu was miserably fragile. "Your body is too rotten." Qin Xiang's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness. Demon-subduing force gushed out from his feet as he ferociously stomped on Jingchu's right shoulder and crushed his bones, which caused Jingchu to be in excruciating pain. "So what if you came down from the heavenly realm? I can still trample you to death." Qin Xiang's expression was malevolent and his eyes were vicious. He crazily stomped on Jingchu's body. He precisely controlled the strength of his attack that did not crush Jingchu into meat, but caused blood to spurt out from his mouth like a fountain. The incomparable humiliation and pain made Jingchu feel like an ant. Even though he had monstrous hatred in his heart, he could do nothing about it. He never imagined that a genius like him, who was even famous in the heavenly realm, would be ruthlessly trampled upon by a kid who wasn't even in the Nirvana realm. Chapter 535 Fairy Goods. Chapter 535 Fairy Goods. Chen Xiang picked up Jing Chu's lapel and ferociously punched his face with his demon-subduing force again and again. Although it was only one sound of the demon-subduing force, it was enough to make Jing Chu dizzy and swollen. Chen Xiang, why don't you kill me? Jing Chu's anger reached its peak. You want to die? It's not that easy. Chen Xiang sneered as he crazily waved his fists, which brought along a strong wind. The explosion of his fists caused the demonic energy to explode, mercilessly SMAs. HI+ing into Jing Chu's body, breaking his bones and shattering his meridians inch by inch. Jing Chu wished nothing but death. In the canyon, the fist wind were howling miserably like tigers roaring. Thunders rumbled incessantly. Indeed, Jing Chu's body was strong, that he survived under the devastation caused by Chen Xiang's explosive fist. Don't be complacent. Ha ha. I am gonna die with you. Jing Chu suddenly let out a sinister laugh that made Chen Xiang's hair stand on end. Suddenly, an intense wave of divine sense rushed over. Chen Xiang only saw Jing Chu suddenly faint, and a ray of white light surged out from Jing Chu's head. The light carried an extremely powerful spiritual suppression that made Chen Xiang feel a sharp pain in his head and almost explode. His soul left his body. Seems like this guy is going to use his soul to die with you. Long Shui screamed. Devouring demonic art, quick! Bai Yu hurriedly shouted. Chen Xiang hurriedly operated his devouring demonic art, after which the soul force that was trying to penetrate his body was suddenly refined into an extremely pure soul force which then entered his sea of consciousness, fusing with his soul and strengthening his divine soul. A sharp pain suddenly transmitted from Jing Chu's soul. He felt his soul being torn apart by a powerful force, which intimated him extremely, since this soul was his only hope. If Jing Chu could use his soul to kill Chen Xiang, then he could wait until Zhuo Zhenxuan arrived and save him. But now, Chen Xiang was using a terrifying evil art to devour his soul. It's out of my prediction that this kid has cultivated his soul to such a level. It seems he wants to cultivate a divine soul, but no matter how strong his soul is, it is inferior to yours. Bai Yu said faintly, this seems to be a soul technique from the immortal path, able to cause the soul to leave the body. However, it is very dangerous. Chen Xiang let out a light sigh as he slowly circulated the devouring demonic art and slowly devoured Jing Chu's powerful soul. Is that the devouring demonic art? You evildoer! Jing Chu sneery yelled. Both Chen Xiang and Bai Yu were surprised that Jing Chu could recognize this devouring demonic art. So what? My demonic art is specifically designed to devour guys like you. Ha! Chen Xiang laughed. Bai Yu once said that very few people could recognize this devouring demonic technique even in the heavenly realm. It was rigidly inherited and only a dozen of people could ever learn it. Chen Xiang could not devour Jing Chu's power, but it would be more than includable for him to devour his soul. A divine soul could produce powerful magic power that contained an extremely mystical power. It allowed a person to change his or her forms and unleash divine abilities. One could see how extraordinary it was. Normal souls simply couldn't compare to it. Very quickly, Jing Chu's soul was painstakingly devoured and refined by Chen Xiang, becoming a part of his soul. Long Shui had said that the first big stage of divine soul was divided into 6 phases: infant, young child, growth, transformation, maturity, and perfection. Each phase was further divided into 10 levels. Chen Xiang was previous at the 10th level of growth phase. After devouring Jing Chu's soul, he jumped into the first level of transformation phase. The divine soul within his sea of consciousness was currently being enveloped by a faint white barrier of air. As long as he reached the 10th level, his soul would form a complete cock. while he had already begun to transform. After transformation, he would reach the perfect stage, at which his magic power would even be stronger. As expected of a soul that survived the 8th nirvana tribulation. Long Shui exclaimed in surprise. Although it was a powerful soul that survived the 8th nirvana tribulation, it only raised Chen Xiang's soul by one stage, which showed just how powerful a divine soul was. Don't waste this body. Seal it up first, and don't let the power in his body run out. When you have the chance, swallow this power, or use an indirect method to devour it for Lumenger. Bai Yu said that those who successfully devoured the 8th nirvana tribulation were all from the heavenly realm. Thus their body would definitely increase his power. Hearing that, Chen Xiang quickly stopped beating the body. He then froze it with rocks that released ice, placed it into a sarcophagus, and sealed it inside his storage ring. Hurry up and leave, Zhuo Zhenxuan is coming back. Long Shui hurriedly called out. Chen Xiang planned to check up Xingchu's storage ring, but he must leave now. He did not want to have any conflicts with Zhuo Zhenxuan, because Zhuo Zhenxuan was the principal of Demon Subduing Academy. He could take care of Xue Xianxian and Ling Yulan in the academy, especially with the help of the stellar transposition realm that would save him a lot of time. Now that he had finished with Xingchu, he could still quietly return to the Demon Subduing Academy in the future. This guy must have a very high position in the heavenly realm to actually have such rare items, thousands of them. That's amazing! Su Meiyao couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. Bai Yu also had an expression of surprise on his face. Chen Xiang didn't have the time to check the storage ring, so he could leave it to Su Meiyao and Bai Yu to examine it. Hearing the two girls exclaim in surprise, Chen Xiang knew that the top-quality crystal must be very valuable. Is there any Dan or anything like that? Chen Xiang hurriedly asked. Let me take a look. There's a box inside. Although I can feel the elixir and spirit qi inside, I can't open it. There's a restriction or something. Judging from the Dan's aura, it must be at the heavenly grade. Su Meiyao said. Heavenly grade Dan. Chen Xiang was shocked. This kind of Dan was rarely seen in the mortal world. Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had also said it was extremely expensive even in the heavenly realm. What else? At this moment, Chen Xiang was overjoyed. There are also a few flying talismans, a low-quality immortal sword, and 2 maps. Su Meiyao said with some surprise. One map shows the Sun-Moon Island, the other shows this top one profound realm. It seems like Xingchu came down primarily for this profound realm. At that moment, Chen Xiang had turned into a bird. He had to leave the canyon before he could stop. However, he really wished to stop immediately and took a look after learning that there were a lot of good items within Xingchu's storage ring. An immortal sword? That is a good item, but it's no use to me, Chen Xiang said. He already had the Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer, which was a divine weapon that was even more powerful than an immortal tool. Chapter 536 Steel. Chapter 536 Steel. Zhuo Zhenxuan felt extremely helpless in this profound realm where he couldn't control his true qi. After being thrown out by the tornado released by Long Shui, he had no way to control his body. He could only allow that huge force to fly him out. Although he didn't know what happened at that time, he was certain that someone had deliberately released that power to separate him and Xingchu. Zhuo Zhenxuan quickly returned to the canyon, but he only saw some blood stains on the ground. It was Xingchu's blood, and he guessed that someone had kidnapped Xingchu and had ordered him to lead the way to the place where the rare plants were hidden. Xingchu had said that only he had a detailed map of the top one profound realm. Chen Xiang turned into a bird and quickly left the canyon, hiding deep in the mountains. This box is really hard to open. It's small and full of powerful restrictions. If I forcibly destroy it, I will activate those restrictions and cause the box to explode. Chen Xiang frowned. Inside the box was a heavenly grade Dan, but right now it was very difficult to open it, which made him extremely anxious. I should have used the soul-taking incantation to search that guy's memories. With my current understanding of formations, I am simply unable to open it. Chen Xiang shook his head and sighed. He could only temporarily put away the box containing Heavenly Grade Dan, and waited for Lu Menger to open it for him. To avoid meeting Zhuo Jinxuan, Chen Xiang didn't follow the map. He was worried that Zhuo Jinxuan also had a map. Besides, even though Zhuo Jinxuan knew he killed Jing Chu, Chen Xiang didn't want to do anything to him. He wanted to build a good relations, Hi+P with Zhuo Jinxuan so that he could benefit from Demon Subduing Academy. At this moment, Chen Xiang turned into a bird and rapidly flew towards his target. He knew that those sect headmasters would soon know what happened in Sun Moon Island, especially in this unique period, so he had to hurry to the place where the elixir plants was hidden. Although Chen Xiang had become a bird, due to his true qi which was affected as well as the pressure down there, his speed became very slow. He continuously flew for more than 2 months before finally getting close to his destination. However, he was surprised as he saw the entire land he was standing on was extremely futile with all plants withered. It's really far. Fortunately, the time here is different from the outside. Otherwise, the entrance would have been closed by now. I need to quickly go to that place and obtain more spiritual medicines. Chen Xiang looked around. However, this place doesn't seem to be a place with a large amount of exilic plants. The spirit qi here was pitifully thin, and this place was also at the border of the top 1 profound realm. Chen Xiang guessed that the spirit qi of this profound realm was all concentrated in the central region, so after arriving here, he was very puzzled, because according to common sense, this place couldn't possibly allow a large amount of rare flowers and plants to grow for many years. It seems like the marking on the map is not the place where the elixirs grew. It should only be a hint. Su Meiyao said. If precious elixirs could still grow in such a place, there could only be one possibility, that there must be a powerful spirit-gathering formation there, but Long Shui didn't sense it. An hour later, Chen Xiang climbed over a desolate mountain. In front of him was a desolate plain with a stele erected on top of it. The stele wasn't big, only as tall as a person. Although it was still very far away, it was very eye-catching on this plain. D.A.M. Nedli Tianjun. Chen Xiang cursed as he continued to run. On the way here, if it wasn't for him quickly arriving here, he would have already killed many powerful demon beasts and obtained many demon cores, which should be a huge amount of wealth. But as he continued on his journey, he arrived at a place where even birds never Hi+T. The words on the stele were written by Li Tianjun. It didn't contain much information, but was extremely infuriating. The one who comes here, do you feel angry? Do you think it's all for nothing? Don't be angry, I only wish you to experience the beauty of the interior of this top 1 profound realm. Back then, I was trapped here for many years, so I got bored and wandered around here. There were precious elixirs everywhere, but I've already harvested all of them. Most of them were reduced to ashes when I was refining pills, and only a small portion was moved to a place close to this top 1 profound realm. Below it is a map. Chen Xiang wanted to smash this stele into ashes with his palm. He came here with so much effort, but it was only a joke by Li Tianjun. Luckily, there were still some elixirs inside, otherwise he would have vomited blood. Don't worry, the elixirs Li Tianjun planted in the past have definitely grown, Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang also hoped so as he started to memorize the map engraved on the stele. The precious elixirs in this top 1 profound realm all belong to our Fire God shrine. A loud and excited voice rang with laughter. The Demon Subduing Academy is too naive. They definitely didn't expect us to have a map of this profound realm. Another gentle voice spoke in a mocking tone. When Chen Xiang heard these two sounds coming from afar, he hurriedly turned into a rock and hid nearby the stele. Damn it, what is going on here? It's not strange that these guys can enter the top one profound realm, but how could they all got maps? Chen Xiang asked doubtfully in his heart. Very quickly, Chen Xiang saw a middle-aged man and a young man plussing over from the distance. They were wearing the customs of Fire God Shrine. Sure enough, it was as Chen Xiang had expected. All of them went into a rage after seeing the contents on the stele. I've checked around. There are no signs of anyone else coming here. It seems that we were the first to find this place, the youth said. At this moment, a burst of laughter came from afar. That's right, but what if you found it first? As they spoke, two old men wearing white robes flew over and appeared on top of the stone monument. With a glance, they saw the contents on it, then furrowed their brows. They are elders of the Divine Martial Sect. I have seen them before. People from the Divine Martial Sect are all bad guys. Back then, they also planned to kill me. Chen Xiang thought. He suddenly discovered that there were many powers that had entered the top one profound realm, including the elders of the Divine Martial Sect and the Fire God Shrine. Where are the Hall Master of the Divine Martial Sect and Fire God Shrine? They should be the first to arrive. Chen Xiang was puzzled and continued to observe. It would be the best if the Divine Martial Sect and Fire God Shrine had a conflict. At that time, he would just wait to reap the benefit. At the same time, both the two powers learned that there was only one treasure in this place. In order to obtain it, there was only one choice, and that was to exterminate the other party and take the treasure for themselves. Chapter 537 Benefit from a Conflict. Chapter 537 Benefit from a conflict. Seeing the people from the other factions arrive, face of the Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man became extremely dark. Are you guys sent by the newly risen King's Shrine? You are just ants in the heavenly realm. The middle-aged man sneered. No, we are from the Divine Martial Sect. I think it will not take for us to have a place in the heavenly realm. Of course, you have to be alive until you ascend to the heavenly realm to see it. An old man from the Divine Martial Sect lightly smiled, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. Chen Xiang was shocked. He knew that the Divine Martial Sect was a branch of the King's Shrine in the mortal realm, but now they intended to be independent. This meant that behind the Divine Martial Sect there was someone with strength comparable to a human king supporting them. Conflicts between sects were by their nature extremely cruel. Now Chen Xiang gained a higher level of understanding of the Divine Martial Sect. I admit that your human king bloodline is a bit arrogant, but our Fire God Shrine is not a pushover either. Furthermore, both of us can't use true chi right now, so don't forget what our Fire God Shrine elders have. The Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man clenched his fists, and a scorching aura began to emanate from his body. This caused Chen Xiang to be slightly surprised. Under the circumstances where he couldn't use his true chi, the man from Fire God Shrine was actually able to release heat, which meant that he could use fire. As for Chen Xiang, who possessed the heaven and earth fire soul, he couldn't do this. Fire soul. It seems the stories are true. We've heard long ago that all men from Fire God Shrine are demons that specialize in stealing fire soul, then fuse them with your bodies with evil techniques. The old man from the Divine Martial Sect tightly clenched his fist. The bones in his body started to crackle as energy crazily surged in his body. The strength of both sides were about the same, but both of them were restricted of using true chi, thus their battles were not that fierce. These four people with equal strength no longer bickered and launched fierce attacks at the same time. All of them were engaged in close-quarters combat. Even though they couldn't use his true chi, the power they exerted through their bodies was also extremely powerful, and Chen Xiang was also waiting for an opportunity to make his move. The Fire God Shrine was an evil sect. It specialized in robbing fire souls, so Chen Xiang would not miss such an opportunity. Moreover, the divine martial sect also wanted him die, hence he would show no mercy at all. Since he couldn't use his true qi, the battle between the four Nirvana realm warriors didn't cause much of a commotion and wouldn't attract anyone else. Most people didn't put too much energy into their bodies when they could cultivate true qi, unless they reached the peak of the 100 cultivation realm, which required they to do so. However, once they stepped into the Nirvana realm, many people would put aside their bodies and focus on training their thick true qi. In this sort of gravitational environment that was 20 times more than normal, they had consumed a great deal of their physical strength. After only about 2 hours, all four of them had fought to the point of being hard to bear. They had used up over half of their strength and sweated continuously. At this moment, the Fire G.O.D. Shrine took the advantage because they had fire souls that allowed them to release an oppressive heat when attacking. It was a type of torture to others as well. It's about time. Little dragon, focus on the timing to cooperate with me, Chen Xiang said. Long Shui would not be affected in this kind of environment because she was using magic power. She could gather the spiritual energy of the world anytime, and use it as her own power to attack. Find those elixirs and share some with me, Long Shui said very obediently. Chen Xiang was not surprised by this old woman who always acted like a little girl. Just a moment ago you guys were still so stubborn. It seems like you all are only mediocre at this level. It is a great crime if your divine martial sect wants to betray the king's shrine. If you can't kill us, haha. The Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man panted as he spoke. Both sides stopped fighting. They knew that if they continued, both sides would suffer losses. At that time, neither side would gain anything. This was all because they were too confident. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spouted nonsense from the start. Rest assured, none of you will escape today. Hearing this voice, the elders of the Fire God Shrine and Divine Martial Sect trembled. They were very familiar with Chen Xiang. How could they not recognize this voice? Following the sound of Chen Xiang's voice, a green light flashed and Chen Xiang suddenly appeared. The azure dragon devil slaughtering slayer in his hand had already been raised high into the air. He suddenly chopped down towards the head of a young man from the Fire God Shrine. Since the four of them had gone through a long battle of endurance, now their strength and speed had been greatly reduced. In front of Chen Xiang's violent and fast attacks, they simply had no way of defending against them. At the same time that the azure light flashed, red blood splashed out. It was like a red flower blooming, splattering in the air, and splattering onto the faces of the other three, causing them to quiver involuntarily. Chen Xiang, the Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man roared and threw a fierce punch at the sudden appearance of him. However, when his fist struck towards Chen Xiang's body flashed and dodged to the back of the two elders from the Divine Martial Sect in a light movement. Pa 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 pa. A series of explosions rang out as the echoes reverberated through the silent wasteland. At the same time that Chen Xiang's broadsword slashed across the wasteland, he unleashed his invincible demon-subduing force. His speed was as fast as lightning, breaking the waists of the two elders who were trying to escape. In the blink of an eye, Chen Xiang had killed 3 powerful experts who had said the 7 Nirvana tribulations. However, Chen Xiang was not touched by that at all. He had done such kind of job for a long time ago. At this moment, Chen Xiang was extremely calm and had a smile on his face. The Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man only had one thought in his mind, and that was to escape for his life. He didn't know what abilities Chen Xiang had for him to hide in the surroundings and appear when they were exhausted, then use his lightning-fast attack to kill the 3 of them. Thus, he was certain that his current strength was inferior to Chen Xiang the Freak. If he continued to linger, then he would be the next to die. Chen Xiang had no choice but to admit that the Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man was using all his might to escape. His speed was shockingly fast as he left behind a long afterimage. Only after a blink of eye that he had flew to a top of a high mountain far away. However, Long Shui was even faster than him. She shot out like a ray of light, turning into a white belt of light and coiling around the escaping middle-aged man. Observing that Long Shui had succeeded, Chen Xiang slowly put away the storage rings on the hands of the three dead men. However, as he was about to open them, he discovered that the storage rings were already damaged. They are truly a bunch of sly old foxes. They had done some protection. Chen Xiang sighed. Some storage rings were equipped with profound formations. If the owners died, the storage rings would self-destruct. The escaping Fire God Shrine's middle-aged man was bundled up by Long Shui and brought to Chen Xiang. Fire God Shrine? Well, you guys are the evil forces that specialize in robbing fire souls. You do make me tremble with fear, Chen Xiang lightly said as he stepped on the middle-aged man's face. Chapter 538, Fire God Method. Chapter 538, Fire God Method. Chen Xiang was doing whatever he wanted, and those Nirvana Realm S were only equivalent in strength in his eyes. He could kill whoever he wanted, let alone the big shots of these vicious forces. Chen Xiang, you can't kill me. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth and said, "Oh? On what basis?" Chen Xiang fiercely stomped his foot on his abdomen, and with a "pa" sound, he suffered an attack from the devil-subduing method. The middle-aged man felt as if his abdomen was struck by a bolt of lightning, and it was so painful that blood was flowing out of his mouth. "I've already killed those three guys. Do you think I'll let you go?" Chen Xiang laughed out loud, and then fiercely stomped his stomach and chest a few more times, to the point where the middle-aged man's bones and organs had all shattered. The middle-aged man knew that if he wanted to live, he had to take out something to exchange, or else he would be killed by Chen Xiang. In this short period of time, he thoroughly witnessed what kind of fellow Chen Xiang was, to not even blink when he killed these Nirvana Realm cultivators. Even if it was them, they would all be wary of him. "I know you have the fire soul. Furthermore, your fire soul is much stronger than what we imagined. When I guessed correctly, your fire soul should be the Tianyang fire soul." The middle-aged man clenched his teeth and said while enduring the pain. Chen Xiang frowned. He did not expect that it would be seen through. He stepped on the middle-aged man's leg and increased his strength. "Then what action do you plan to take against me? We of the Fire Temple have a secret method to retrieve the Fire Soul. Those who are extracted with it are usually crippled, unconscious, and have died a good number of deaths. The reason the Fire Temple is spread throughout various worlds is because we want to collect the Fire Soul scattered throughout the mortal world. As long as one works for the Fire Temple, they would receive a reward and receive a relatively inferior Fire Soul." The middle-aged man knew that he had to answer honestly if he wanted to live. "We do want to SNATCH your Fire Soul, but we have our reservations. However, we have already decided, when great war between three realms breaks out, we will capture you in the chaos." "You are all too naive? Do you really think I'm so easy to deal with?" Chen Xiang sneered. "That's right, although you're not very strong right now, it'll be very difficult to catch you. However, after my investigation, your friends and your woman." At this point, Chen Xiang's heart was infuriated, and an explosive sound came from beneath his feet. The devil-subduing method carried a burst of killing intent, and exploded a bloody hole in the middle of the middle-aged man's abdomen. "Ah!" The middle-aged man screamed in pain. He was a stately elder of the Fire Temple, a strong pract. 1. Tionier who had experienced the 7 tribulations of the Nirvana realm, but was now being trampled upon by a little kid of the spiritual martial realm to the point of suffering a fate worse than death, which made him extremely resentful, but it was to no avail. As long as As long as you let me go, I'll teach you a martial arts. This is Fire Temple's top secret cultivation technique, and it is only suitable for those who possess fire souls. The stronger the fire soul, the more powerful the person can display the power of this technique. The middle-aged man said. Shin Xiang laughed cruelly. No need. As he said that, he slapped the middle-aged man's head and chanted an incantation, activating demented spell to search the middle-aged man's memories. The middle-aged man had lived for a long time. He had a lot of memories, and if he were to absorb everything in one go, Shin Xiang would only have a headache, so he only wanted to find something for himself. This group of fellows, how despicable, to actually include Sister Menger, Xiang Yue, Elder Dan and the others in the hunting list. Shin Xiang searched for a list of outstanding people who use fire. Fire God method? Shin Xiang muttered. He had found the technique, and there was a lot of information inside, but it was instantly absorbed into his brain and became his memory. The next thing he needed to do was to understand the Fire God method well and see how powerful it was. As expected of the Fire God method, it is a famous martial arts technique in the Heaven Realm. It is also where the Fire Temple is strong. Many of the cultivation techniques in the Fire Temple were created through the Fire God method. Only those who possess the Fire Soul and are loyal to the Fire Temple can learn it. The book in your hands shouldn't be the complete one, Su Meiyao said in shock. The middle-aged man's face was deathly pale. He belonged to Nirvana Realm, and even though Shin Xiang had tortured him multiple times, he had not fainted. You? What did you do to me? The middle-aged man said angrily. I searched through your memories. Shin Xiang smiled faintly. What? You actually know this kind of forbidden evil art, you? Before he even finished speaking, Shin Xiang's large blade, which carried a deep killing intent, mercilessly slashed down, killing the middle-aged man. They've been killed. They're all good stuff. You have to keep them well. The corpse of the Fire Temple was the most precious, because there was the fire soul inside, and a body of powerful fire attribute innate chi. If there was a chance in the future, he could slowly devour the energy, and think of a way to extract the fire soul. If only I had to die, I would only need to meet a few more Fire Temples. They can take someone else's fire soul, and I, Shin Xiang, can also. After Shin Xiang dealt with the 4 corpses, he adjusted his condition and smashed the stone tablet into pieces. Then, he ran towards the place where the spirit medicines were truly hidden. From the middle-aged man's memory, he knew that the day before the Heavenly Dog Food Day, Heaven Realm had scattered many maps, which was why it had attracted many powerhouses to come over. Fire Temple and Demon Suppressing Temple had gotten the map earlier, and a detailed map from inside the first profound realm. It must be Li Tianjun who spread the news. This guy is really willing to let the world into chaos. Shin Xiang scolded himself. There were a lot of people chasing him back then. I think he must have harbored hatred and wanted them to kill each other in the first profound realm. Maybe he even kept some powerful things there. Su Meiyao said. Thinking about this, Shin Xiang's expression became heavy. Fortunately, he had heard from the Fire Temple that Lu Menger did not come, otherwise he would be very worried. Because in this environment, no one dared to say they were invincible. If they were attacked and unable to escape, there was only death. When I go to Heaven Realm in the future, I will definitely teach this Li Tianjun a lesson. Shin Xiang said. There will be an opportunity. I will defeat him when it's convenient to refine pills. She was very confident in Shin Xiang. After all, she was the one who personally guided him. After going through a long journey, Shin Xiang finally arrived at the location of the map engraved on the stone tablet after a month. This time, he was not as excited as last time, because this was very likely a farce with Li Tianjun. Maybe it was a trap, and there were also many powerhouses carved on the map, causing Shin Xiang to have no choice but to be vigilant. Shin Xiang observed his surroundings for around an hour, but did not find anyone nearby. At this moment, he was slightly excited. However, considering Li Tianjuan's little trick, he was worried that he would be disappointed. Chen Xiang observed his surroundings for around an hour, but did not find anyone nearby. At this moment, he was slightly excited. However, considering Li Tianjuan's little trick, he was worried that he would be disappointed. Sister Meiyao, do you think Li Tianjun has any intention of spreading information about this top one profound realm all over the heavenly realm? Chen Xiang asked. This doesn't seem to be good for him. Could it be that he merely did this for revenge? If that's the case, then his enemy will very likely be able to obtain the medicinal herbs inside. Chen Xiang continued on the road while discussing with Su Meiyao. If it was me, I would definitely not leave behind a large amount of medicinal ingredients in this top one profound realm. At most I would only leave some that have yet to mature. Li Tianjun definitely know that earth-level Dan is extremely useful even in the heavenly realm. We could learn from the 2 medicinal fields you obtained earlier that medicinal ingredients for earth-rank Dan are extremely rare, so as that of upper-grade profound rank Dan, thus there should not be lots of high-level medicinal ingredient in this profound realm. Bai Yu said, not all of the people in the heavenly realm were immortals. Many of them were just born with better tudes than mortals and cultivated faster. Jingchu was a good demonstration showing that most people in the heavenly realm were below nirvana realms, though there were indeed immortals up there. Perhaps there really is some kind of resource in here that can cause people to fight over it. I guess he is worried that no one will ever find out about the top one profound realm, which would then be wasted. The top one profound realm is like a small world, rich in spirit qi, and has existed for a long time, so it can definitely nurture many minds. Su Meiyao said. Maybe. If I had known earlier, I would have used the Emperor Crystal to check it out. Maybe I would have discovered some minds. Chen Xiang said regretfully. Climbing up a mountain, Chen Xiang looked down at a huge lake. This lake was filled with dense spirit qi, and above it was smoke condensing from spirit qi. The medicinal field Li Tianjun built here was under the lake. Find out what's down there. This kind of lake is enough to give birth to a monster as big as a mountain. I don't want to be eaten down there, Chen Xiang said with fear. We didn't find any big guys, but we did find a formation at the bottom of the lake. Water can't enter that place. It's the same as the island under the sea in the White Tiger profound realm. Long Shui said. Chen Xiang jumped up from the mountain and jumped towards the lake. When he almost reached the water surface, he turned into a small fish and dived into the water, quickly swimming towards the bottom. This lake was very deep, but what surprised him was that the deeper he went, the denser the spirit qi was, which was indeed very helpful for the growth of precious plants. Soon, he saw a flash of white light at the bottom of the lake. When he got closer, he discovered that there was a small garden in the size of a small house. It had many lush flowers, and trees. Although Chen Xiang was in a distance to the bottom, he could tell from a glance that there were lots of familiar spiritual fruit trees. He easily said through the formation and entered the medicine garden. There was a large formation that absorbed spiritual energy as fuels to run the formation. It could also be used to grow spiritual medicines, allowing them to grow very well. Just as we expected, there is not much of them. Even so, Chen Xiang was not disappointed. His eyes were filled with excitement because he saw some precious spiritual medicines. Is this the soul-breaking tree? Chen Xiang gently touched a pure white tree. This tree was around 3 people tall, and its branches looked like human bones. The leaves were like a palm, and from afar, it looked a little terrifying, like a ghost bearing its fangs and claws. This sort of thing is rare even in the heavenly realm, Su Meiyao said with a bit of surprise. The flowers, fruits, leaves, branches, roots and skins of soul-breaking tree all had different characteristics. When combined, they could be used to refine a very vicious thing called the decorrosion powder. As long as one touched a little bit of this powder, his or her body would be corroded. Not to mention human body, even weapons, stones, diamonds and other things would be corroded. It was extremely terrifying. If it was sprayed on a person with insufficiently strong flesh body, then he or she would be eroded instantly. Decorrosion powder was prohibited both in mortal and heavenly realm. Once it was discovered, the owner would definitely be wanted for the righteous path. It is said that this tree will first grow to 9 feet first, then suddenly grow smaller and smaller, and the smaller it is, the more powerful the decorrosion powder refined from it will be. When it is only the size of a finger, even an immortal's body will be corroded, but according to legends, it will take tens of thousands of years to reach that stage. When Su Meiyao said that, she couldn't help but become excited because those things knew how to evolve. While other elixirs, no matter how powerful they were, could only be used to refine heaven-level Dan. However, soul-breaking trees knew how to evolve, so the strength of the decorrosion powder refined from them were different in strength. Such elixirs were extremely scarce. It was even harder to observe one. It takes 30,000 years to mature. Qin Xiang sighed. I didn't expect to find one. Right now, it seems like it has just matured. Yep, when it matures, it could only generate decorrosion powder in the rank of medial grade profound rank Dan. Looking at the plants around him, Qin Xiang immediately started laughing. Those guys are coming for nothing. The medicinal ingredients for the soul-stabilizing Dan must be upper-grade profound rank Dan. After a person dies, his soul will dissipate, but if he swallows a soul-stabilizing Dan in time, his soul can gather together. If you need to stabilize your soul while cultivating, you can also take it. Any Dan that is beneficial to souls is extremely rare. Qin Xiang looked at the small white GRASS and flowers. They were soul-stabilizing GRASS and spirit-calming flower. The medicinal plants in this medicinal field were all very inclusive. In other words, most of them could gather a Dan formula. It was obvious that someone had done this on purpose. Transfiguration Dan, upper-grade profound rank. Profound beasts that take it could probably turn into humans. It is also rare. Face-preserving Dan, upper-grade earth rank. It is the legendary pellet that can make a person's face stay unchanged forever, ladies' favorite. Longevity Dan, upper-grade profound rank. It can increase a person's lifespan by 50 years, the most desirable thing of those old fellows. Superior longevity Dan, lower-grade earth rank. It can increase a person's lifespan by 500 years, also the old men's favorite. 9 apertures body strengthening Dan, lower-grade earth rank. It can strengthen a person's physical body. Life recovery Dan, foundation building Dan, 5 elements true essence Dan, profound sun fire Dan, and primordial spirit Dan. Qin Xiang had obtained many of these medicinal ingredients, but he was not bothered of having more. What is this? It's so strange. Qin Xiang stroked a black flower that was only the size of a pinky. What made he curious was that there was no living plants within 3 feet from this small black flower, which trotted how extraordinary the small flower was. Flying 9 death flower. Su Meiyao let out a delicate cry and shouted. Qin Xiang trembled thoroughly as he heard the words, flying 9 death flowers. Incomparable ecstasy welled up from his heart, causing him to nearly go insane with excitement. Qin Xiang trembled thoroughly as he heard the words, flying 9 death flowers. Incomparable ecstasy welled up from his heart, causing him to nearly go insane with excitement. This was because flying 9 death flowers were used to concoct the flying Dan, which was at lower grade heaven rank. Even though it was called the flying 9 death Dan, it was something that people who had Pa-s said the 8th nirvana tribulations dreamed of. After consuming a flying Dan, one could directly transcend the 9th nirvana tribulations, obtain incredible strength, and then ascend into the sky without experiencing the most powerful ninth nirvana tribulations. No one knew what kind of energy such a formidable Dan could have to make someone avoid nirvana tribulations and obtain energy that was even more powerful than a warrior who said ninth nirvana tribulation, but it was clear that one who took it would either succeed or die. Although it was called the Flying Nine Death Flower, one who took a Dan concocted from it had 50% chance of successfully ascending, while the chance was only 10% if he or she took the flower directly. Don't celebrate too early. This kind of flower is only useful when the ninth nirvana tribulations comes. After you eat it, there is a 50% chance that the nirvana tribulations will not come. If it comes anyway, then you must deal with it, otherwise you would die. Su Meiyao said. Well, it doesn't seem to be the same as what's written in the books. Chen Xiang thought that one could eat it no matter which level of nirvana tribulations he or she was. That's reasonable. Very few people have eaten the flying Dan, but I've refined 2 of them before. One of the triers successfully avoided and said the ninth nirvana tribulations, but the other one still did not and died miserably after that. Su Meiyao said. Bai Yu added, Junior Master said that if we take 10 flying Dan, the nirvana tribulation will definitely not come. Junior Master? Chen Xiang asked doubtfully. It was against the law if one who took 10 flying Dan could avoid the most terrifying ninth nirvana tribulations. Moreover, Chen Xiang had the G.O.D. liquid of creation, thus as long as he had enough time, he would made more of this kind of thing than beans. He was the one who taught me how to refine Dan. He said so, but he has never tried. Whether it is in the heavenly realm or the mortal realm, no one has ever collected 10 flying Dan together, so it cannot be verified. But now there is a chance for us. Su Meiyao smiled seductively. She was very interested in this area, and Chen Xiang was also carefully moving this flower in. Little dragon, come out and help out. Just don't eat it unchecked. Pick and eat the stuff I already have. Chen Xiang asked Long Shui to come out and help. This place wasn't safe, so Chen Xiang didn't want the 2 beauties in the ring to take the risk. Leave nothing behind us. Take them all. Now that Chen Xiang had obtained this batch of elixirs, which was enough for him to refine lower-grade Earth-rank Dan. However, he only had 2 years left, which was definitely insufficient. He was aware that there was no way for him to reach that level no matter how talented he was. Therefore, he needed to enter the Star Transposition realm in Demon Subduing Academy to win some time. Now, he could only concoct pure essence golden pill, which was at medial grade profound rank. He needed to concoct at least 2 different types of Dan before he could ascend another level. An upper-grade profound rank Dan is a big challenge for me, let alone an Earth rank Dan. The test that Elder Dan gave me is really difficult. Chen Xiang sighed hopelessly. Elder Dan was about to undergo his nirvana tribulations, but it was hard to tell whether she could succeed or not. If she failed, then this lady would perish. Chen Xiang had always wanted to remove the veil of this mysterious woman. Ever since he entered the extreme martial sect, he had felt that this woman knew him and slightly hated him. Maybe she's ugly. Then it would be troublesome if she sticked on me after I win against her. Chen Xiang shook his head and smiled. Elder Dan had once said that Chen Xiang could took her as his woman and do whatever he wanted on her as long as he won over and obtained her recognition. I could easily tell from her skin, hair, and figure that she is a beautiful woman, but it's hard to say about her face. Su Meiyao said with a smile. Very quickly, all the remaining elixirs in the top 1 profound realm were collected by Chen Xiang. These elixirs could be made into 2 doses of Dan, or 1 at least. However, Chen Xiang could make as many as he wanted with them. The batch of elixirs he obtained this time were very useful. They were all rare and popular. Chen Xiang was certain that if he brought them to auction, he would definitely be able to sell them for a high price. Face-preserving Dan. With this kind of thing, I can have as many women as I want. I feel that there will be many hundred cultivation realm women who are willing to take off their clothes and sleep with me. At this moment, he couldn't help but recall the erotic events that happened in the cave with Shui Xianxian. It made him nostalgic. This was because some people would encounter bottlenecks in their cultivation process, and their fleshly body would age after a long period of time. Some people broke through before their body became old, then they could stay young forever, therefore there were both young and old Nirvana realm marital artists, while those with young looking were pretty gifted. However, if one had a face-preserving pill, he or she could avoiding aging. Thus it attracted many beautiful female martial artists. Therefore, if Chen Xiang grasped this kind of thing, he would definitely be able to establish a huge harem, because a woman could only stay young appearance by taking face-preserving Dan consistently, not only one. Humph, you little rascal. I am going to kill you if you dare to use face-preserving Dan on bad things. Su Meiyao threatened him. Haha, can I take this as you being jealous? Chen Xiang laughed. You'll get more women if you have a rejuvenation Dan, those who turn back young from old. Bai Yuyu's words caused Chen Xiang to feel guseb. MPS all over his body. Long Shui giggled and said, if there's a sort of Dan that makes men into women, then this little rascal will have even more women. There is, indeed, that kind of thing called gender reversion Dan, but they are used only on beasts, because some rare demon beasts are very hard to find. If you have 2 males or females of them, you can use this Dan to change one of them, and that way you can match them up to make offsprings. Su Meiyao laughed exuberantly. Of course, you can use it on a person. Chen Xiang suddenly felt disgusted. Stop talking, I want to vomit. Haha, thus you better not flirting around everywhere in the future. There are some men who take gender reversion Dan in order to obtain large amounts of cultivation resources from other men. Stop saying that, Sister Meiyao. By the way, is there truly a rejuvenation Dan? I guess many old guys should be interested in it, Chen Xiang asked. There must be a lot of very old martial artists who wish to take it and turn young. After all, no one wanted to have the appearance of an old man. Of course there is, but it's a lower-grade heaven-rank Dan, and ingredients are hard to find. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang did not leave this place because of the dense spiritual energy here. The lake was itself rich of spiritual energy, and the spirit-gathering array underneath it made it an extremely good environment of cultivation. Thus, Chen Xiang decided to cultivate the fire God law here. On his way to the medicine garden at the bottom of the lake, Chen Xiang spent 1 month understanding a small part of the fire God law. After reading the mantra in some early pages, he realized that the fire God law was very suitable for him. He had long been worried about not being able to fully exploit his fire soul martial art. Although the vermilion bird divine art was powerful, it was only a type of offensive martial art that enabled him to perform his fire attribute a little better. On his way to the medicine garden at the bottom of the lake, Chen Xiang spent 1 month understanding a small part of the fire God law. After reading the mantra in some early pages, he realized that the fire God law was very suitable for him. He had long been worried about not being able to fully exploit his fire soul martial art. Although the vermilion bird divine art was powerful, it was only a type of offensive martial art that enabled him to perform his fire attribute a little better. However, the fire God law was different. It was a mental cultivation method that allowed him to cultivate his fire soul to a deeper level and use it skillfully. Chen Xiang felt that the most powerful part was that a person with a fire soul could cultivate a furnace in his dantian when cultivating this fire God law. It was a furnace in his body that could refine the tyrannical spiritual energy, dissolving the impurities and leaving only the pure parts. As long as he generated this raging inferno dantian in his body, which would produce mysterious flames as he absorbed spiritual energy in the future. The flame would flow to every part of his body, and refined spiritual energy immediately once it touched the flame. After spiritual energy was transformed into pure spiritual energy, he could then circulate it in his body with Tai Chi dragon subduing technique to refine it into true Qi and strengthen himself. I heard it can refine anything. Is that true? Would it be even more formidable if I combine it with my devouring demonic technique? Qin Xiang gasped for breath. The downside of using the devouring demonic technique laid on the insufficient purity of true Qi refined from it. As time passed, said the ACCU, Mulat impure true Qi would cause problems for his body. However, with this raging inferno dantian, no matter how tyrannical or turbid the true Qi was, once it was smelted, it would become extremely pure. If it really does work like what the fire G.O. D law says, then you don't have to worry too much when using the devouring demonic technique. Bai Yu said. Now Qin Xiang understood why the middle-aged man from Fire God Shrine he killed proclaimed the power of Fire God law. He said it was a treasure to those who possessed the fire souls. Now it seemed that even without the devouring demonic technique, it could still be of great use in cultivation. During a martial contest, the most dangerous thing was to have your enemy infilled some violent and turbid true Qi into your body to wreak havoc. Once he learned this raging inferno dantian, he could release that of strange flame which could melt all the energy that entered his body. Is there anything else that's amazing about it? Su Meiyao asked curiously. Even though she did not have a fire soul, she knew that there would be plenty of opportunity for her to fuse with fire souls as long as she stayed with Qin Xiang, the person who possessed the Fire Soul King. The other thing is that you can use it to temper your body. In other words, you can make flames in raging inferno dantian even stronger through some of the mental cultivation methods in the Fire God law. You can also temper your body from the inside, which seems much better than cultivating your body from the outside. Qin Xiang's brows tightly knitted together, but it consumes a lot of true Qi. Because a person who trains in the flame is resistant to fire, he or she need a lot of energy to produce a stronger flame. Your body could bear even flames in the core of the earth, so which kind of flame can temper you? Bai Yu asked. Qin Xiang's body could bear fire not because he was excessively strong, but because he possessed a heaven and earth fire soul. There were pros and cons to this. For instance, flames, in this way, was unable to refine his body. It was the best way to refine a body with flame, and most times the black tortoise body strengthening technique that Qin Xiang practiced required fire as stimulus. Of course, thunder was fine as well, but that energy was too tyrannical and one would be easily killed if not controlling it well. No, the body refinement flame of Fire God law can ignore the resistance of fire souled, and the heat it produces can make me feel pain. Who on earth created this Fire God law? That guy must have been so distressed of having a fire soul that he created the Fire God law. Qin Xiang was extremely excited at this moment. Doubtlessly, the Fire God law could resolve the problems generated as he cultivated too fast. This way, he didn't need to worry about his foundation being unstable when he cultivated it. When he cultivated it together with the Fire God law, it was the same as having been tempered 1,000 times, which could be both fast and stable. It's not that difficult. The basics are to train the raging inferno dantian well. Many of the wondrous techniques of using fire souls are based on the raging inferno dantian. Qin Xiang started to cultivate. He chanted the mantra so that Su Meiyao and Bai Yu could remember it as well. Even if they didn't cultivate, it would still benefit them greatly to understand and delve deeper into these martial arts. This was the same as reading a book, since they would still be idle anyway. They were certain that once they recovered their peak strength, their cultivation would improve substantially. After comprehending the difficult points of Fire God law, Qin Xiang's cultivation was extremely smooth. He had built a solid foundation after cultivating many powerful divine martial arts, so the moment he obtained a martial art, he could comprehend it in a very short period of time. After a day Pas said, Chun Xiang had attempted for many times. Suddenly, the flames that had fused into his body moved. Chun Xiang could not tell that strange feeling. He only felt that his dantian was slightly hot, and the Tai Chi yin-yang diagram in his dantian suddenly began to spin at high speed. 5 Elements beast statue was illuminated by a fiery light. The Tai Chi yin-yang diagram in his dantian was enveloped by a fireball, while 5-element true chi continuously came out of the 5 Elements beast statue and gathered into a wave of heaven and earth force, which then fused into a fireball. Chun Xiang only felt that his entire body was hot right now. He suddenly opened his eyes and let out an angry bellow as flames spewed out from his body. These flames came from the raging inferno furnace in his dantian and were different from other flames. I can't use true chi here, but after cultivating the fire G-O-D law, I can control my fire soul and absorb the 5 elements heaven and earth force with it, which allows me to release flames. Although it's also the heaven and earth fire, there are some other mysterious powers within it. That should be the strange power of smelting. Chun Xiang never thought that he would be able to master the fire G-O-D law in one day, and he could also use a powerful flames with it. These flames were all heaven and earth fire that had been ignited by absorbing the heaven and earth force, similar to Chun Xiang's own true chi, with an only difference that he was unable to use dragon force or other attribute true chi. Haha, I am invincible in here. Qin Zhe Jun of Holy Light Sect, W.A.N.G. Quan of Divine Martial Sect, the Hall Master of the Fire God Shrine, and many old fellows from the East Sea are all here. You better not appear in front of me or I won't be polite with you guys. Chun Xiang's heart boiled with excitement. I want to find them. This is a good opportunity. If I don't kill them, they would try to kill me in the future. Chun Xiang's heart skipped a beat as he hastily stood up. Calm down, you will kill him, but you'd better increase your true chi first. The Raging Inferno Dantian consumes a lot of true chi, doesn't it? It will be truly troublesome if you get attacked now. Besides, there are many powerful beasts hidden here. Bai Yu said quietly. Chun Xiang nodded his head. That's right. Anyway, they will not leave soon. Time inside the top 1 profound realm is different from the time outside. I can also buy some time here. After learning that, he circulated Fire God law and ignited the Raging Inferno Dantian, then swallowed a black stone dragon Dan that he had obtained earlier. That Dan was instantly smelted into pure true chi after entering the Raging Inferno Dantian, after which it was greedily absorbed by the 5 beast statues and compressed into a true essence pill. Even in such an environment that one could not use true chi, Chun Xiang could still cultivate. Moreover, he could also use powerful flames with Fire God law. Even in such an environment that one could not use true chi, Chun Xiang could still cultivate. Moreover, he could also use powerful flames with Fire God law. He killed a total of 30 black stone dragon. Now he got plenty of time, thus he planned to swallow them all to cultivate his true chi. Within a few breaths, the beast cores of the black stone dragon entered his dantian and were all refined into pure true chi, then automatically absorbed by the 5 beast statues and compressed into true essence pills. When he entered the early stage of spirit martial realm, a total of 5,000 true essence pills within his 5 elements beast statues lit up, 1,000 for each statue. If he wanted to step into the middle stage of spirit martial realm, he would have to light up another 500 of them, which was an increase of 100 pills per statue. At this stage, it was very difficult for him to condense more true chi to light up more true essence pills, but now that he had learned the Fire God law and obtained a large amount of pure essence golden dan, he had great confidence in his speed of cultivation. Those black stone dragons were all profound beasts, Thus their beast cores contained a considerable amount of energy. Even though Chen Xiang could only obtain a portion of the energy after devouring these beast cores, the total of 30 pellets ACCU mulat to a substantial amount. This is troublesome. Right now, I can't control my true qi as I wish. Although it can be smelted into true qi, it is still very difficult to make the 5 beast statues compress these true qi. Chen Xiang frowned. He initially thought that as long as he could control his true qi, he could quickly condense it into true essence pills, then increase the density of his true qi and lit up these pills. Long Shui told him, "It's simple. Use your magic power. It's definitely better than when you were controlling true qi. After you learn how to control true qi with magic power, you will no longer be constrained by this environment." Chen Xiang hurriedly released his magic power into his dantian. After entrance, these magic power transformed into an invisible energy that enveloped true qi that was unable to enter his dantian. Very quickly, the true qi was gradually pressed into true essence pills, following the control of Chen Xiang's magic power. This was indeed much better than when he was training normally, because true qi was not easy to compress, especially when it still had to be highly compressed. Time slowly said, and Chen Xiang progressed extremely fast. His qi spewed out, and his body was emitting a scorching hot true qi, accompanied by his true qi which was increasing rapidly. After half a day, Chen Xiang's body started to emit a rumbling sound. As he performed the devouring demonic technique, dense spirit qi streamed into his body through the spirit gathering array, and once it entered his meridians, the spirit qi was instantly refined by the fire from the raging inferno dantian. A large amount of spirit qi was then purified and turned into true qi, which was then compressed into true essence pill through Chen Xiang's magic power. An unending stream of spirit qi flowed into his body, just like an endless stream of true qi. His refining process only lasted for a short moment. Right now, he further realized that the fire God law was a good thing, and he didn't need to go through that long process of refining spirit qi into true qi. I'm about to break through. The last one of the 500 true essence pill is going to light up, Chen Xiang said excitedly. At this moment, his body was constantly emitting waves of air currents that said through the array and charged towards the bottom of the lake, causing the lake to surge up and down. He had been cultivating at the bottom of the lake for a month. If it wasn't for the 30 beast cores, his progress wouldn't have been so fast. Done. Chen Xiang's heart skipped a beat. 100 more lit true essence pills were present in each beast statue. What's going on? Chen Xiang was shocked because after he stopped cultivating, there was still a lot of energy that entered his body from nowhere and entered his dantian following with spontaneous compression. Very quickly, he exclaimed out loud, "Just how much power does the martial path bestow upon me?" Huang Jintian had told him that those who cultivated the martial path would receive this sort of power every time they made a breakthrough. However, it wasn't obvious if a cultivator was below extreme martial realm, while it would be extremely obvious after he or she entered extreme realm. When he entered the spiritual martial force, he received almost 10 times the power as his own. Sister Meiyao, did you obtain the same power when you cultivated back then? Chen Xiang asked. Yes. Enjoy it slowly. Right now, no one can understand why there is such a power. Su Meiyao giggled and said, I got an 8-time improvement when I entered spiritual martial realm. Sister got a bit more than me. When you entered the spiritual martial realm, you only got 500 pills. After receiving the power of bestowal, you got 5,000 pills, increasing by 9 times. This is the basic standard for what you can get from bestowal in the future. You will definitely not get less than the standard. Bai Yu said. Chen Xiang sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt that the standard of bestowal had something to do with personal aptitude. However, he felt that he was more talented and qualified than those two beauties. Last time when he entered the spiritual martial realm, it took him more than 20 days to compress the power of bestowal. But now it only took him 15 days. It was still 9 times, which rendered another 4,500 true essence pill for him. Thus there was a total of 10,000 true essence pills lit up in his 5 elementals beast statue, and even he himself was shocked by how dense the true chi was. 9 times is quite high. Many people get no more than 5 times. Therefore, sometimes you can't judge a person's strength by his cultivation, but you should also concern the thickness of his true chi. Su Meiyao said. Right now, his true chi had been much thicker, which allowed him to use dragon force for a longer time. Moreover, as his true chi became stronger, his dragon power would also become more terrifying. He drilled out of the formation, turned into a fish, and rapidly swam towards the surface of the lake. Due to the fire God law, he was able to commit attack with heaven and earth fire. His heaven and earth fire came out of the heaven and earth force, and was even stronger. Chen Xiang came to a mountaintop, waiting for Long Shui, finding praise with her God traveling in 9 heavens technique. He starred at his fist. Just with a thought, he activated the fire God law, after which raging flames immediately blazed in his dantian, and a strong flame gushed out from his fist. The burning heat enveloped the entire mountain. Look like there is a group of people over there, but there seems to be something there as well. My consciousness becomes very unstable as it gets close there. Long Shui claimed curiously. What direction? Chen Xiang asked without hesitation. They were probably those Nirvana realm folks. He wasn't afraid of them at all. Over there. Long Shui pointed out a direction. Chen Xiang immediately jumped down from the top of the mountain and started running towards that direction. Not long later, Chen Xiang heard a faint sound coming from far ahead. Lu Menger, hand over the heaven-mending stone, or you will never leave alive. Hearing these words, Chen Xiang's heart skipped a beat. Raging flames of anger instantly rose in his heart. Lu Menger was sieged and attacked. He never thought that Lu Menger, who was preparing for her tribulation, would come to the top one profound realm. Chen Xiang turned into a small bird and quickly flew over. Lu Menger was surrounded and attacked, which was extremely dangerous. She could not use her true chi or frost wind divine technique, which greatly compromised her strength and made Chen Xiang worried a lot. Chen Xiang turned into a small bird and quickly flew over. Lu Menger was surrounded and attacked, which was extremely dangerous. She could not use her true chi or frost wind divine technique, which greatly compromised her strength and made Chen Xiang worried a lot. Heaven Mending Stone. That is a good item for refining spatial-type magical equipment. It can refine immortal artifacts and is extremely rare, even in the heavenly realm. Su Meiyao suddenly said. Wherever there is a heaven-mending stone, there will be a Sumeru stone. No wonder it affects my consciousness. At this time, Long Shui was also worried. Chen Xiang, what are you planning to do? What should we do? All the guys who attacked Menger must die. Chen Xiang furiously said, How many are they? About 30. Chen Xiang had some knowledge about the Sumeru stone and Heaven Mending Stone. Heaven Mending Stone was a magical stone that could fill up the cracks in S.P.A.C. According to the legends, once there was a crack between heavenly realm and mortal realm, the Heaven Mending Stone must be used to fill it up, whereas Sumeru stone was a necessary ore to refine storage treasures. There was a small S.P.A.C. inside each Sumeru stone. Items such as storage bags and storage rings were all refined from it. Sumeru stone was very rare, but there were still many people who had found them in the mortal world. When refining a storage bag, one only needed 1 Sumeru stone to create a room. The larger the volume of a storage equipment, the more Sumeru stones it required, and the harder it was to concoct. It seems like there is a Sumeru stone vein here. Bai Yu said. Lu Menger held a white jade dragon bone spear in her hands. Her face was as cold as ice, and her white clothes fluttered in the wind. Anger filled up her beautiful eyes as she stared at the experts surrounding her. All of them were male. You bunch of men are so shameless to deal with a woman like me," Lu Menger shouted coldly. She could not use true qi but the strength of her flesh body, thus she could not win over them. However, she was not willing to hand over the heaven-mending stone, or gave up the Sumeru stone vein she discovered. Those who see it will get a share. Even though it is used to say that the one who find it get it all, as an old man delivered his speech, a red light suddenly flashed over, following by a wave of overwhelming hot air suddenly enveloping the area, then a thick killing intent like countless vicious beasts swept over like a wave, causing everyone to Hi plus ver. Bulls. Hi plus T. Following Chen Xiang's angry roar, the old man who had just spoken was instantly chopped into pieces by Chen Xiang's blade aura replete in the sky. Chen Xiang stood in front of Lu Menger and saw a few familiar faces. They were the Hall Master of Fire God Shrine, Wan Ji Quan of Divine Martial Sect, Qin Zijuan of Holy Light Sect, and Xiao Ziliang of the Free Immortal Sea. These guys are all hoodlums. No wonder they're shameless. Chen Xiang's voice was filled with killing intent as he held onto his divine saber to protect Lu Menger. Chen Xiang's arrival with his majestic aura intimated the surrounding people to involuntarily take a few steps back. They could all tell that Chen Xiang just used his true qi, and his strength seemed to have increased by a lot, since he could kill a Nirvana realm martial artist in an instant. Since they weren't able to use their true qi, all of these experts were unable to withstand Chen Xiang's berserk strength. Seeing Chen Xiang arrive, Lu Menger breathed a sigh of relief. She looked at Chen Xiang with tender affection, Wisconsin Hi+ing that she could hug him. A middle-aged man angrily shouted at Chen Xiang, "Chen Xiang, how dare you kill an elder of our Flying Dragon sect?" The middle-aged man was punctuated away by Chen Xiang's punch. A fire dragon bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it roared. It carried a threatening aura as it charged towards the middle-aged man like a bolt of lightning. Puff! A loud explosion rang out. In the blink of an eye, the fire dragon pierced through the middle-aged man's body and exploded fiercely, turning him into charred flesh that scattered in all directions and landed on everyone's bodies. The crowd trembled again because another Nirvana realm warrior just died tragically in front of them. Fire God Law. A middle-aged man with an extraordinary bearing and a cold expression shouted in anger, "Chen Xiang, where did you learn this from?" It was Ing Jinkuan, the Hall Master of the Fire God Shrine, a person who had said the 8th Nirvana tribulation. Chen Xiang, who was filled with killing intent, did not say a word. He just chopped down his blade in the air. The blade flashed with a fiery light and threatening heat. It was as if the blazing sun was bursting with light. Blade wind condensed from scorching flames charged toward Ing Jinkuan like a torpedo with fire. Ing Jinkuan was prepared. He quickly dodged as he saw Chen Xiang brandish Hi+ing his blade. However, the two old men behind him were not as fast as him. They were hit by the hot blade wind from Chen Xiang's chop and instantly turned into ashes. Although everyone was enveloped by a scorching heat, they couldn't help but feel cold Hi+ver. Unlike Chen Xiang, they couldn't use true qi, so they could only use their bodies to fight against him, which seemed to be a mission impossible, since Chen Xiang could kill them all. Everyone quickly realized that they had no way to fight back Chen Xiang. They must run, otherwise they would definitely be killed by him. This group of high and mighty Nirvana realm warriors were all terrified. Their hearts were filled with intense fear. They only had one thought, and that was to run for their lives. Otherwise, Chen Xiang would take their lives. After watching Chen Xiang's brutal methods, the crowd was convinced that as long as they were caught by Chen Xiang, they would die without a doubt. Don't try to escape. You'll all have to die. After Chen Xiang let out a furious roar, A scorching wave of air with formidable killing intent exploded out from his body and spread in all directions. It was like a tidal wave, sweeping away everything in its path in an extremely fast speed. In just an instant, many trees were burnt to ashes, and the people running in all directions all suddenly stopped, because their bodies were entangled by fire. This made the over 20 experts feel despair. They could tell from Chen Xiang's incomparable killing intent that he wouldn't let them go. Chen Xiang, the Great War of Three Realms War is about to start. If you kill us, the strength of the mortal martial realm will be compromised, which might result in its falling. Xiao Ziliang hurriedly said. You will only mess up the entire thing. Chen Xiang wielded his Azure Dragon Devil Slaughtering Slayer and suddenly arrived in front of Xiao Ziliang. Lu Menger, you are the person in charge of a faction. You must consider the overall situation. It is indeed our fault to attack you, and we will bring a huge gift to apologize and compensate you. Please say a word to Chen Xiang. Qin Zijuan spoke in a hurry. He was extremely terrified. He had almost taken control of the East Sea, and had survived the 8th Nirvana tribulations, just one step away from ascending to the heavenly realm, thus he was definitely not willing to die here. Lu Menger looked at Chen Xiang and sighed. He will not listen to me. You're his wife's master and his elder. How come he doesn't listen to you? Qin Zijuan was raging. Death used to be something unreachable to these people. Perhaps this fear existed when they were young, but now that they stood on the peak of strength, they could control the lives and deaths of billions of people. As time passed, they forgot about this feeling. But now, Chen Xiang let them recall this incomparable fear. Chen Xiang, if you let me go, I will ignore the matter of you learning the Fire God law. Our Fire God shrine will also apologize to Lu Menger. Please consider the big picture. Ng Jingquan's tone became softer. The stronger one was, the more afraid he would be of death, because it was extremely difficult for him to reach a high position. Cut the CRAP. I have decided to slaughter ASTARDS a month ago. Chen Xiang raised his blade and chopped off Xiao Ziliang's head. He didn't even blink when he made his move. Xiao Ziliang had previously cooperated with Holy Light Sect and almost killed Chen Xiang. He had always remembered this grudge, and he also knew that Xiao Ziliang hated him. Xiao Ziliang had previously cooperated with Holy Light Sect and almost killed Chen Xiang. He had always remembered this grudge, and he also knew that Xiao Ziliang hated him. Don't you remember we have a grudge? Chen Xiang had a sneer on his face as he walked towards Ng Jingquan, the Hall Master of Fire God Shrine. The fire vine he released was now even stronger than before. He definitely couldn't let anyone of the crowd escape. Every time he killed a person, Chen Xiang's heat of slaughter would completely absorb that person's killing intent, causing his to become even stronger. Right now, his killing intent was the sum of that of several Nirvana realm experts, and it was extremely intense. Anyone without sufficient strength could not even stand stably in front of him. Chen Xiang, aren't you afraid that the Fire God shrine in the heavenly realm will know it? Don't think that no one will know what you're doing here. Ng Jingquan frowned as sweat dropped from his face. His body trembled even more when he saw Chen Xiang walk over. Although he was tangled by torching fire vines, he still felt as if he was inside an ice cave. Chen Xiang laughed heartily. I was not afraid of you when I killed the elder of your Fire God shrine. From the time you come down to the mortal martial world, I have made up my mind to eliminate you guys. Now take it. His blade flashed like lightning and hacked down on Ng Jingquan's head. Seeing the haunted man's head falling off, the other Nirvana realm warriors became even more desperate and terrified. Among this group of people, Ng Jingquan was the strongest and the most powerful. They dared to siege Lu Menger also due to his presence. Death of Ng Jingquan of Fire God D shrine indicated that Chen Xiang would not leave any survivors. Once the matter was exposed, no matter what they said, they would ultimately be killed by Chen Xiang. Let me take some job for you. Lu Menger's face was expressionless as she walked towards an old man. After she stabbed out her jade dragon's kiss, stabbed fiercely a few times in an instant into the old man's body, several B.L.O.O.D.Y holes appeared on his throat. Lu Menger, the Empress of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Kingdom, aside from showing the coyness and tenderness of a woman in front of Chen Xiang, expressed an imposing aura of a ruler in front of everyone else. Her actions shew no mercy, and when faced with the pleas and pleas from many people, she completely ignored them and decisively took out her spear, stabbing them to death one by one. Chen Xiang did not kill Qin Zijuan and W.A.N. Ji Quan first, but killed the rest of them. He wanted W.A.N. Ji Quan and Qin Zijuan to experience the incomparable fear of death, which was even worse than death. Very quickly, the ground was filled with heads and corpses. The killing intent ACCU. Mulat on Chen Xiang's body grew more and more intense, which made even Lu Menger extremely uncomfortable. Now there were only Qin Zijuan and W.A.N. Ji Quan left. When they saw the God-like Chen Xiang walking towards them, they were immediately frightened to the point that their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. I've already said this before. Don't bully a poor youth. When you wanted to kill me back then, did you ever expect about this moment? Chen Xiang looked at W.A.N. Ji Quan. W.A.N. Ji Quan never thought that after he lost to Huang Jintian, he would be killed by Huang Jintian's disciple. What made him even more frustrated was that he, a Nirvana realm warrior, would die at the hands of a kid who only had the strength of the extreme realm. This was also the mood of many experts. In the instant before they died, they all regretted to enter this top one profound realm. Not only had they not found anything, they had even lost their lives here. A black wave of killing intent gushed out from Chen Xiang's body and rushed into the sky like a pillar. As he slashed down his slayer, which was replete of killing intent, W.A.N. Ji Quan and Qin Zijuan were beheaded simultaneously and died reluctantly. Phew! Chen Xiang closed his eyes and released his magic power to suppressing the unrestrained killing intent within his body. Lu Menger walked over and hugged Chen Xiang from behind. She pressed her cheek against Chen Xiang's back and softly said, "Thank you, you little rascal." Chen Xiang lightly held her hand and faintly smiled. "You do not need to be polite with me. Hurry and clean up. Seal all these corpses with forbidden seals. Don't let any energy leak out. The corpses will be useful for me in the future." After Chen Xiang claimed that the corpses were useful, Lu Menger frowned and asked, "What's the use?" "For practice, of course." "Ha." Chen Xiang smiled evilly as he recalled the last time he practiced with Lu Menger. "Humph." Lu Menger let out a soft snort and took out some materials for placing forbidden seals on the ground. She could not use true qi right now, so she could only rely on these materials. 32 corpses were in the Nirvana realm. 3 of them were previously from Fire G.O.D. Shrine and possessed fire souls. After burning this place down, Chen Xiang held Lu Menger's hand and brought the beauty with him to a nearby mountain forest, then arrived at a quiet valley. "Sister Menger, why are you here? Aren't you in seclusion with Hua Xiangyue in the forbidden site of Danxiang Taoyuan?" Chen Xiang carried Lu Menger in his arms and sat on a large tree. "When I came out to get some fresh air, I heard the news about the top one profound realm. I knew that you would definitely come. I was worried about you, so I came here for you." Lu Menger pinched Chen Xiang's perverted hand. "You do have the gut to come here and slaughter all those fellows." "Heh, why wouldn't I?" Chen Xiang kissed her head. "They are so shameless to surround my sister Menger. That's the compensation." "Haha, although it's a bit cruel, I like it." Lu Menger lay in Chen Xiang's arms, looking up at his handsome face. How did you get the heaven-mending stone? Quick, let me see. I've never seen something like that before. Lu Menger took out a huge colorful stone which was as tall as a person. Every inch of it was multicolored. Under the sunlight it was extremely beautiful. No wonder those people sieged her shamelessly. The heaven-mending stone is too big. Those that are found in the heavenly realm are only as big as a person's head. Your Luotian gate contains these stones, and that's why it can open a spatial gate. Su Meiyao sucked in a breath of cold air. Chen Xiang stroked the heaven-mending stone and widened his eyes. Sister Menger, how did you manage to get this? After I came in, I looked for you everywhere. Then I mistakenly entered a dangerous place. After I killed the demon beasts there, and entered a mountain range, I immediately sensed a Sumeru stone mine, which is the site where you killed those people. There are a lot of Sumeru stones there, about the size of a small mountain. I merely sensed it with my divine sense, then the heaven-mending stone just came out, raised up to the sky and bursted colorful lights. I used a lot of power to collect it, but it attracted those guys. They signed me, and you already know what happened after that. Lu Menger helplessly said, and then put away the heaven-mending stone. Chen Xiang rubbed his chin and said, So, let's go back and get the Sumeru stone. That's a good item. Let's go. When I have the time, I will refine a pretty S.P. A size storage ring for you. Lu Menger intimately hugged Chen Xiang's arm and walked out of the valley with him. Chen Xiang and Lu Menger returned to the place where the experts were killed. Below there is a Sumeru stone as big as a small hill. Dig it out. Lu Menger gently jumped onto a tree and sat down. Chen Xiang shrugged his shoulders as he furiously blasted towards the ground. Soon, he saw a corner of the Sumeru stone. It seemed to be an extremely dark rock, and the entire thing was even a whole piece. At first, he thought to find some small fragments, but in fact it was a complete piece, so he could easily take it out. He placed one hand on the Sumeru stone and instantly put it into his storage ring before throwing it to Lu Menger. Hurry up and get out of here. If others find out that you killed those guys, we'll be in trouble. Lu Menger said as she accepted the storage ring, then giggled and flew to Chen Xiang's side. Chen Xiang kissed Lu Menger's face. Let's leave this place. I'll give you something along the way. What is it? While Lu Menger was speaking, Chen Xiang had already wrapped his arms around her waist, and they quickly flew through the forest. It did not take long for them to get far away from the place where the experts were killed. After arriving at the foot of a small mountain, Chen Xiang put Lu Menger down and smiled. The fire god law is very suitable for those with fire souls to cultivate. You should learn it, Menger. So it is. The fire god shrine used to solicit me with this fire god law, but I rejected. How did you get it? Lu Menger's beautiful eyes shone with a bright light. Before she could receive Chen Xiang's reply, her small mouth was blocked by Chen Xiang. Her jade teeth were pried open by Chen Xiang's tongue. They hadn't kissed for a long time, so she actively responded to him. The two kissed with their tongues entangled. While kissing, Chen Xiang extended a perverted hand into Lu Menger's clothes, gently massaging her delicate and round jade peaks. This caused Lu Menger to gasp for breath, and her eyes became misty. The two paws silently embraced each other, then hugged. While Lu Menger tidied up her clothes with one hand, she humphed with a blush on her face, "You little rascal, you are getting more and more dishonest. It hurts to squeeze." "Sorry, allow me to help." Chen Xiang smiled mischievously. He was about to extend his hand over when Lu Menger slapped him away. "Enough." Lu Menger rolled her eyes at him. "Then how exactly did you get the fire god law?" "I forced. I want to teach you the fire god law and another powerful martial art." Chen Xiang stroked Lu Menger's cheek as he laughed. Bai Yuyu once promised to have Chen Xiang teach the Ice Soul Devil Dominance to Lu Menger as an appreciation of her for Frost Wind divine technique. When Chen Xiang was cultivating the fire god law, he asked Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu to make a copy. Now, he took out a few thick books. That's too much. Lu Menjie couldn't help but ask in surprise as she stared at the 6 thick books. After she opened the first book and saw the contents, she frowned slightly. What a delicate character. It doesn't look like a man's handwriting at all. Chen Xiang coughed a few times but didn't say anything. Yes, this was Su Meiyao's calligraphy. Last time when she was at the White Tiger Profound Realm, Lu Menjie learned Tai Chi divine technique from Su Meiyao. Since that she knew that Chen Xiang had a mysterious and very powerful woman by his side. Also the demon subduing force. I learnt it from Demon Subduing Academy. It's very powerful, especially if you cultivate to the 10th level. As Chen Xiang spoke, he threw a punch at a large tree in the distance. Pa 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 pa. After 10 consecutive explosions, the demon subduing force flew out and hit the tree, turning the trunk into dust. Lu Menjie exclaimed, "That's so powerful! You didn't use true qi on it, did you?" "No, but it's hard to learn up to the 10th level. There are only 2 men within the academy who have done it, the Prink. 1 P. Al and me. I heard that you killed a Prink. 1 P. Al of the Demon Subduing Academy and are currently being pursued by people from the heavenly realm. Is that true?" Lu Menjie asked worriedly. Chen Xiang briefed the process to Lu Menjie. "I've already slaughtered that guy from the heavenly realm right here. That's fine, since no one knows I'm here except you. Besides, the Hall Master of Fire G-Ro, D Shrine and some other powerful sects have all died here. No one won't find it strange." Chen Xiang stroked Lu Menjie's long hair as he lightly smiled. Lu Menjie let out a snort. Once the things that Chen Xiang did were revealed, he would completely offend 2 of the strongest powers in the heavenly realm. Fortunately, Chen Xiang did it in secret. Let's go. There are still a few months until the entrance closes. We can walk out slowly. I still have a powerful martial art to teach you along the way. Chen Xiang stretched lazily as he held on to Lu Menjie's hand and walked towards a direction. Well, how can I learn so much? Even though Lu Menjie said this, her face was still filled with joy. She coyly stuck out her tongue, making Chen Xiang could not help but to bite it. They walked slowly like normal times. Ice Soul Devil Dominance was not elaborate in content, but it was pretty abstruse. Even Lu Menjie had a hard time understanding it. Chen Xiang understood it fast only because Bai Yuyu taught him via divine sense, so that he inherited both the knowledge and comprehension. At this time, he had to spend a lot of time explaining the Ice Soul Devil Dominance to Lu Menjie. You used it to defeat Yulan last time. No wonder Yulan was unable to defend against it. That White Tiger also lost to you like this, right? After Lu Menjie learned it from Chen Xiang for a couple of days, she was thoroughly stunned by this formidable devil art. You can learn it when you get back. By the way, you don't mind teaching Fire G-O D Law to Xiangyue, do you? Chen Xiang asked quietly. How could I? She's already your maid. Last time I went to find her at Danxiang Taoyuan, this little demoness always call me ma'am. I really can't stand her. Lu Menjie protested coquettishly. It seems that this little demoness is really willing to be your maid. When I get back, I will go find her and learn the Fire G-O D Law together with her. Knowing that Hua Xiangyue was so obedient, Chen Xiang smiled mischievously. Chen Xiang and Lu Menjie were both very cautious as they walked through the forest, because they couldn't let others know that Chen Xiang was there. Along the way, Chen Xiang also told Lu Menjie about the difficult points of demon subduing force, which would be helpful for her to cultivate it later. Lu Menjie never expected that she would need Chen Xiang the rascal to teach her martial arts. What is that sound? Chen Xiang suddenly stopped and looked at the huge mountain that rose up from the ground in the forest in front of him. It's the aura of a demon beast called Transformative Demonic Beast. Lu Menjie was surprised. Suddenly, A gust of wind blew over and a black shadow flew over. Chen Xiang's reaction was extremely fast. He leaped out, then his fist that was spewing flames like a meteorite charged forward, dragging a red shadow behind it as it struck the black shadow that was flying towards him. With A.M.U.F. fled bang, Chen Xiang's fist hit the black shadow and produced flames. The black shadow was wrapped in flames and flew out, then crashed a few large trees. Chapter 546, Sacred Dan Realm. Chapter 546, Sacred Dan Realm. Chen Xiang did not immediately chase after him, but chose to stay by his side instead. The black figure earlier was not pouncing towards him, but towards Lu Meng'er, so he had to protect Lu Meng'er here. After the ball of fire was extinguished, Chen Xiang and Lu Meng'er only saw a middle-aged man with wings on his body. He wore clothes made of beast skin and had an extremely ordinary appearance. He really is a beast in human form, but he can't use true qi. How in the world did he get past the Nirvana doom? Chen Xiang asked doubtfully. His body is very strong. Your punch just now was not weak, but now he is completely fine, Lu Meng'er said as he frowned. Chen Xiang also realized that if his fist were to land on the bodies of the other Nirvana stage S, it would be enough to make them vomit blood. Bird person, why did you attack us? Chen Xiang asked loudly. The middle-aged man with wings obviously did not like this form of address, but immediately roared angrily, like the roar of a hawk. His body became as fast as an arrow, and pounced towards Chen Xiang once again. Although his speed was fast, it was very slow in Chen Xiang's eyes. Although it was just a sound, it was extremely powerful. Furthermore, this time Chen Xiang did not only send out a fist, but he had instantly sent out dozens of fist strikes, which exploded with an explosive sound. These were all violent devil-subduing methods, and the palm images that blotted out the sky and earth were like stormy waves, like a violent storm. They drowned out that Birdman. In just a few seconds, the monster's body felt as if it had been struck by lightning a few hundred times. The scorching pain was like dripping chili onto a wound, causing it to cry out in pain. The devil-subduing method that Chen Xiang was using had a very scorching heat to it. All the feathers on the wings of the mutated beast had been burnt. The person was burnt to a crisp. Beasts that could change their form had to pass through the Nirvana doom, and if there were Nirvana doom in the first profound realm, then that meant that the first profound realm had already evolved into a small world. With the last punch, Chen Xiang used the power of devil-subduing method level 10. With a punch, he sent the beast flying into the mountain wall not too far away, causing a burst of broken rocks to fly everywhere. S feet spewed fire, causing his whole body to fly forward explosively. His hands like dragon claws fiercely stabbed into the stomach of the beast, and he took out a golden beast core. The rich life essence and energy gushed out. This was a Nirvana beast, and after Chen Xiang escaped, the beast immediately died. The devil-subduing method is indeed powerful. Lu Meng'er gently flew over. Seeing that her man had become so strong, Lu Meng'er was also very happy. Chen Xiang's improvement was extremely quick. It made her very happy. Chen Xiang took the beast core and directly swallowed it. This scared Lu Meng'er to the point that his face became deathly pale, since this was a beast core that contained a very strong energy. If Chen Xiang swallowed it like this, she was afraid that Chen Xiang would not be able to take it. Don't worry, the energy inside the beast core can't help my Zhenqi improve. Rather, it can strengthen my body and my soul. Chen Xiang waved his hand and said. The blazing dantian burned up and the beast core was instantly melted away. Boundless and bizarre energy surged into Chen Xiang's limbs and bones, fusing into his meridians, bones, muscles, and blood, strengthening his internal organs, fusing into every part of his body, strengthening his physical body. After his physical body became stronger, his soul also became stronger. However, he needed a certain amount of time to digest that energy. There's a cave on top of it. I've checked, there seems to be a box inside. Long Shui said, causing him to immediately look up at the mountainside. Let's go up and take a look. Chen Xiang pulled Lu Meng'er and fiercely jumped, directly jumping into the cave halfway up the mountain. This cave was very dark, so Chen Xiang took out a torch to illuminate the cave. Lu Meng'er asked, "How do you know there's a cave here?" Chen Xiang laughed. "I just know, let's go in and take a look, maybe there's something good there." This mountain was very big, and it was located in the middle of the first profound realm. When they reached the end, Chen Xiang and Lu Meng'er saw a chest placed on top of a stone table. This was a pitch-black wooden chest that had been weathered from many cuts and cracks, and even had some palm prints on it. It seems like this box has been fought over by many people before, Lu Meng'er said as he opened the black chest. There was only one beast skin inside. As he unfolded the beast skin, Chen Xiang lighted it with a torch. There was a circular object on top of the beast skin that had many patterns on it. Lu Meng'er was the most obsessed with array formations. When she saw this array, her face was full of joy and excitement. This is a teleportation circle, a cross-border teleportation circle. Transboundary teleportation formations was an array that allowed one to travel to other world. No wonder Lu Meng'er was so excited about it. Traveling to other worlds had always been something that she longed for, only she couldn't find a good way. Now that Chen Xiang knew why so many people stole the box, he guessed that Li Tianjun left it there. Sacred Dan Realm, the sacred ground of the legendary alchemist. Lu Meng'er looked at the beast skin's back, where many small words were written densely. Chen Xiang could tell with a glance that it was something that he had to adjust the location of the teleportation portal when he was setting up the teleportation circle. This is to be sent to the sacred Dan realm. Lu Meng'er said in shock, "When I was very young, my parents had told me about this sacred Dan realm. I heard that it was as powerful as the heaven realm, and many immortals from the heaven realm would often come there to request for pellet." Chen Xiang had also heard Su Meiyao say it before. "If there's a chance, you must go and take a look." He brought the beast skin over and memorized the position of the sacred Dan realm. He realized that the All-Heaven Gate could also be used to adjust its position and teleport to the sacred Dan realm. Although the spirit energy in the first profound realm was dense, there was a certain power restricting people from using true energy. Chen Xiang himself did not know how Li Tianjun had managed to survive such a long time in there. Chen Xiang and Lu Meng'er were walking leisurely inside. The time inside was different from the time outside. They rarely met and naturally have a good time together. Very quickly, Chen Xiang and Lu Meng'er walked out of the first profound realm. It was still dark outside, and after walking over, Chen Xiang hurriedly took out the Luo Tian gate, opened a spatial gate, and left the Sun-Moon Island far behind. "Elder Sister Meng'er, I'm going back to the Demon Subduing Academy. Are you going to go see the Immortal and Ling Yulan?" Chen Xiang said right after he finished kissing Lu Meng'er. Lu Meng'er tidied up the white clothes that were messed up by Chen Xiang and said with a slight frown, "If you really want to go back, then be careful. The devil-suppressing Divine Palace will definitely send more people down, and the Hall Master of Fire Divine Palace will also be taken over. All right, once I've settled my matters, I'll go find Dan Fragrance Pure Land to look for you." Chen Xiang kissed Lu Meng'er's cherry lips, then stepped into the spatial gate and left. Chapter 547, Returning to the Magic Academy. Chapter 547, Returning to the Magic Academy. The big eclipse lasted for a month. The land that was enveloped in darkness for a month was once again illuminated by the sun's rays. Many people were no longer surprised, but many forces were no longer calm. Not a single one of the elders and hall masters who went to the first profound realm were able to return, and this was also true for Divine Martial Palace's hall master, Wang Quan, and the two elders. At this time, many of the big shots of the various forces were discussing about this matter. Some of them were taking joy in Qin Zijuan's misfortune, while some were worrying deeply, especially those forces of the Eastern Ocean. Roughly 80 people went in, but only 40 of them could come out. Chen Xiang had killed more than 30 of them, and there were a few that could not come out due to other reasons. In order to stabilize the situation, those powers who had lost their leader hurriedly picked out a suitable person, and Fire Divine Palace and the Demon Subduing Academy all contacted the upper echelons of Heaven Realm. Fire Divine Palace, losing a powerful hall master and a few elders, was the strongest power of the Fire Divine Palace. If not for these people acting as deterrents in the Fire Divine Palace, the Fire Divine Palace would have been annihilated easily. After Zhuo Zhenxian reported this to the Heaven Realm, he also began to investigate. He wanted to ask about the people who entered the first profound realm that day, because he felt that this matter was very strange. The first profound realm was already closed. If they wanted to enter again, they would have to wait until the next big eclipse, so no one could enter to investigate. When Lu Menger went in, it was a bit late, so no one knew that she had gone in, and Chen Xiang was also the first person in there, so his whereabouts were extremely secretive, and even more so, no one knew. After Lu Menger returned, he did not immediately start closed-door training, but asked about the situation. Previously, Chen Xiang had given Lu Menger a few ingredients to refine the life recovery pill, but Lu Menger had always given them to him to refine. Furthermore, the place Hua Xiangyue was at was very suitable for cultivation, so she stayed inside. Arriving in the mountain forest outside of the Anti-Demon Academy, Chen Xiang stayed there for about 10 days before suddenly slapping his head. "Damn it, I forgot to give the box containing the heaven-grade pills to elder sister Menger." Su Meiyao had gotten the box from Jingchu. Based on the faint aura left on the box, Su Meiyao could tell that it was a heaven-rank pill, but he did not know what kind of heaven-rank pill it was. There's plenty of opportunities. Even if it's a heaven-grade pill, you can't casually use it right now. Otherwise, your body will explode from the torment of that energy. Su Meiyao said. Chen Xiang took out the Luo Tian gate and opened a dimensional door, appearing inside the bathrooms inside Xue Xianxian's and Ling Yulan's house. However, there was no one inside the bathtub, causing Chen Xiang to be rather disappointed. "Little scoundrel, you were sent here on purpose." Last time, Chen Xiang suddenly appeared here, causing him to have a feast in his eyes. Ling Yulan's perfect body of a white-haired beauty was still stuck in his mind. Xue Xianxian and Ling Yulan were not here, but it was already evening, so it was generally their time to return. Chen Xiang sat in the courtyard waiting for the two girls to return. He did not wait long before feeling a threatening aura approaching him, causing his expression to change greatly, but he quickly calmed down because the aura was from Zhuo Zhenxuan. "Chen Xiang, you are so brave. You actually dared to come back," Zhuo Zhenxian said while smiling. At this time, Zhuo Zhenxian was already the dean, and he had returned to his former manner, unlike what Chen Xiang had seen in the dungeon. That was why Zhuo Zhenxuan was very grateful to Chen Xiang. Otherwise, he would still be in the underground prison, where the sun did not rise. He prink. 1. P. Alzwa, I would like to borrow that stellar transposition realm. Chen Xiang laughed. Of course it's convenient, I've already arranged for your two little lovers to go in, but they only go in for 5 days each time, which is equivalent to 5 years. This is the 4th time they have gone in, you know, they can only go in for 20 days at most, and then there will be no effect. Zhuo Zhenxian said. 20 days, 20 years. Chen Xiang felt that it was enough for him to learn how to refine many pills, and in addition, he could take this opportunity to create divine liquid, as well as create a large amount of precious medicinal herbs. By then, he would probably be the richest person in the entire mortal world. Chen Xiang said, I need to go in for 20 days, you should know that I am an alchemist. These few days I have been increasing my strength. Now I need to use this time to learn pill refining. Zhuo Zhenxian nodded and said, No problem, but you will definitely feel bored after staying in there for 20 years. Oh right, what kind of background does that Jingchu guy have? He can come down from the heaven realm, and he seems to be very strong. Do you still want him to kill me? Chen Xiang asked in a low voice. Zhuo Zhenxian frowned and sighed. Don't worry, he won't pursue you anymore, because he hasn't come out from that first profound realm yet, and it's still unknown whether he's dead or alive. I have already reported to the Heaven Realm. They plan to send the next group of people to investigate this. Chen Xiang pretended to be shocked. It looks like my luck isn't bad. Zhuo Zhenxian sighed. Jing Chu has quite a high position in devil-suppressing divine palace. He was treated as a person to be groomed, and within 500 years, he said through the nirvana tribulation, which is a rare occurrence in this world. Now that he has gone missing, devil-suppressing divine palace will send some people to investigate and find him. From this point alone can be seen. Chen Xiang now understood why Jing Chu's storage ring had over 10,000 top-quality spiritual crystal and even heaven-level pills. It turned out that his status was so high. It seems that devil-suppressing divine palace will send even more vicious people this time. I should finish borrowing the Do Hualong stellar transposition as soon as possible, Chen Xiang said. He had originally planned to wait a few days for Xue Xianxian and Ling Yulan to gather, but now he had to hurry up. Zhuo Zhenxian said in a low voice, Change your appearance and I'll bring you there again. It might take around a month for someone from the devil-suppressing divine palace to come down. Chen Xiang immediately took out his tools and made it so that no one would be able to tell that he was Chen Xiang. Zhuo Zhenxuan nodded in satisfaction. Prink. 1. P. Alzhua, I heard that it was extremely difficult to get devil-suppressing divine palace to bring him down from heaven realm. Asked. Not only the devil-suppressing divine palace, the fire divine palace could also bring him down. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu had told him before that this was extremely difficult. Using a transmission array, the current array formation is becoming more and more powerful, and can even break through the barrier of the heavenly mortal realm. However, it can only send those under the 9 tribulations down, and once they do, it will be difficult to go up. When they do, they will have to cross the 9 tribulations and fly up, so when they come down, they all have their things with them. Zhuo Zhenxian's words made Chen Xiang's eyes light up. If he was to specifically kill this kind of rich and powerful half-immortal from the heaven realm, then he would earn big, but he would only be able to beat this kind of guy in environments where he couldn't use his innate qi. Chen Xiang followed Zhuo Zhenxuan to the top of a tall building in the middle of the demon-subduing academy. This building was located in the middle of the other 5 high grounds, and one could tell that it was a formation to create a formation. Chen Xiang followed Zhuo Zhenxuan to the top of a tall building in the middle of the demon-subduing academy. This building was located in the middle of the other 5 high grounds, and one could tell that it was a formation to create a formation. In a huge stone room on the roof of the building, Zhuo Zhenxuan was resting his hand on a giant pillar. He released waves of power from his body and poured it into the stone pillar. The stone pillar started to slowly rotate, emitting a white glow. Zhuo Zhenxian said, This is the entrance to the stellar transposition realm. After you enter, you will appear in a room, and everyone that enters will have a separate room. This is to avoid disturbing others. Chen Xiang said, What if I want to come out? You can only stay inside for a maximum of 20 days, at that time I will release you. If you want to come out early, you can use the crystal ball inside it to send a message through your spiritual sense, and I will be able to receive it. Zhuo Zhenxian said. Chen Xiang walked through the stone pillar's door, and stood inside a small room that was surrounded by white clouds and slowly closed the door. At this time, he felt that he was inside a small room that was quickly starting to spin, but not long later, the white light around him suddenly disappeared, and he appeared in a stone room that was filled with warm yellow light. The stone room was quite large and had a clean bed, chairs, and a bathing pool filled with hot water. What a pity! If only the deities and orchids were here as well. Chen Xiang took off his clothes and jumped into the bath, soaking in the hot water. If you want to stay here for 20 years, I have already arranged a cultivation plan for you. Every day, you have to cultivate using the fire God method, and at the same time, you also need to condense God's liquid. Of course, most of your time is spent on refining pills. Su Meiyao suddenly flashed out and sat beside Chen Xiang. She lifted up the pants on her body and placed a pair of exquisite jade feet into the bath, causing Chen Xiang to be unable to resist grabbing onto her tender jade feet and gently pinching them. Humph! Little scoundrel, you're truly too daring. Bai Yuyu scolded and pinched Chen Xiang's ears. At this time, Bai Yuyu also came out from the ring, sat at Chen Xiang's other side and also soaked his beautiful jade sculpture-like feet in the bath. But now, Chen Xiang was completely immersed in it. With these two beauties by his side, it made him involuntarily indulge in his imagination, Wisconsin H.I. Plusing that he could strip them off and have them help rub his back. Chen Xiang's current guts were indeed very big. He was originally touching Su Meiyao's jade feet, but now, slowly moving his hand from her calves up Su Meiyao's big white legs. However, it was still ruthlessly slapped away by Su Meiyao. Little scoundrel, I'm not your elder sister Menger. Don't do anything bad to me. Su Meiyao scoffed. Since I've already kissed her and seen her, it's fine if I touch her. Chen Xiang said as she curled her lips, causing a touch of scarlet to surface on her charming face as she gently spat out. At this time, Chen Xiang looked at Bai Yuyu, who was dressed in a pure white dress. Although she was a devil, she looked like a holy Goddess at this moment, causing Chen Xiang to stare foolishly at her. Bai Yuyu only wore her unique cold smile, undodging the fiery gaze of Chen Xiang. Looking at it, Chen Xiang's hand also seemed to be controlled by some kind of power as she fearlessly reached out and grabbed that ice-cold tender jade foot of hers from the water. This made Bai Yuyu slightly frown, and Su Meiyao, who was at the side, had a strange light flash in her eyes. Bai Yuyu did not object, but seeing this, Chen Xiang's hand also slowly slid up her leg. When it brushed past her smooth and firm calves, he could not help but pinch her. Very quickly, Chen Xiang's large hand reached under Bai Yuyu's snow-white skirt and rested on her ice-cold thighs that were as exquisite as jade. She didn't think that Bai Yuyu would actually be more tolerant towards Chen Xiang than she was, letting Chen Xiang touch her white legs like this. At the moment, Chen Xiang's heart was in turmoil, the evil fire was soaring, and there was something underwater that was already becoming sinister. Sister Yuyu, come down and bathe together, Chen Xiang said while laughing. Don't push yourself too far. Bai Yuyu looked at him coldly, causing him to quickly withdraw his hand, but the feeling of touching Bai Yuyu's thigh had never left his mind. Chen Xiang sighed in enjoyment and laughed while looking at Su Meiyao. Your senior sister is so much more generous than you miser. Humph, little scoundrel. Su Meiyao was very unhappy. She never thought that Bai Yuyu would actually be so generous as to touch Chen Xiang's thighs. And Bai Yuyu dared to come out, and they stayed inside the storage ring for a long time. To be able to come out and chat with Chen Xiang, the little guy, was a very happy thing. After he finished relaxing, Chen Xiang took out the Yanlong furnace. He already understood how to refine a middle-grade profound rank pellet, Chunyuan Gold Dan. Generally speaking, he would need to learn how to refine about 3 pellets of the same level, and only with a solid foundation would he be able to get another level up. Only then would he be able to refine higher-tier pellet. Right now, I can still refine Sky Thunder pills and G.O.D. powder. They are offensive pills. Probably even that Dan Kingli Tianjun from back then did not know how to refine them. Chen Xiang took out the materials for the Heaven Thunder pill. The Profound Thunder GRAS seeds and the Thunder Origin fruit were the ingredients used to refine the Heavenly Thunder pills, and also the first time Chen Xiang had refined such an aggressive pill. The difficulty of the pill's refinement was extremely high, because the power of the pill's explosion was extremely hard to control. As Chen Xiang processed the ingredients, he listened to Su Meiyao explain the main points of refining the heavenly thunder pills. He recalled what Su Meiyao had told him before he started to put the herbs in the furnace. He used the foreseeing alchemy, and when he refined the heaven thunder pill, it was just like the Chunyuan gold dan that he refined last time. Especially the thunder source fruit, one needed to be extremely careful in controlling the flames and gently burn the fruit to dust, allowing the tyrannical power of thunder to be released. If the control was not good, the entire thunder origin fruit would explode. Now that he had the rich experience of refining Chunyuan gold dan, it was relatively easy to control when dealing with the thunder origin fruit. It was just that he did not expect the berserk lightning energy from the thunder origin fruit, which resulted in the foreseeing alchemy making a huge mistake. You can only produce one thunder yuan fruit at a time. Moreover, you will need to pour a large amount of thunder attribute true essence into the fruit in order to produce even more violent energy. Therefore, condensing a pill is the key. Su Meiyao said. At first, he thought that it would be easier to refine using the foreseeing alchemy because he had made some improvements in the foreseeing alchemy. He was able to slow down the process of the refining process, but now, when he was refining the heavenly thunder pill, it was extremely tricky. At first, he thought that it would be easier to refine using the foreseeing alchemy because he had made some improvements in the foreseeing alchemy. He was able to slow down the process of the refining process, but now, when he was refining the heavenly thunder pill, it was extremely tricky. Just as Su Meiyao had said, it was very crucial to condense the core, and the progress was very slow, because he was not proficient in it yet, so he could only inject a bit of thunder attribute true qi into it. However, his thunder attribute true qi was in conflict with the thunder attribute energy released by the thunder origin fruit and the profound lightning GRASS seed. One must know that this heavenly thunder pill was a martial artist that could cause injuries to the extreme realm, thus one could see how powerful it was. To suppress the tyrannical thunder attributed energy, it was truly not easy, and it had to be compressed into a small pellet. Just like with his cultivation of innate qi, after being compressed by a high concentration, the energy would change and the quality would become very high. Once detonated, the power would be very strong, so Chen Xiang did not doubt the power of the heavenly thunder pill at all. With a honglong sound, the Yanlong furnace suddenly trembled, and Chen Xiang once again announced his failure by exploding the furnace. Chen Xiang had already failed to enter for more than 20 batches. He frantically scratched his head. It's only a middle-grade profound rank pill, and I've already failed so many times. What if I fail to refine an Earth stage pill or a Heaven stage pill in the future? He spent a lot of time concocting the heavenly thunder pill because he needed to inject a large amount of thunder-attributed true energy. The time he needed to inject the pill would be slow, and it would take him an entire day to recover from that. When Hua Xiangyue refined the life recovery pill, I saw that when she used the foreseeing alchemy, she had basically succeeded in one furnace. That is because she has a solid foundation, and she understood all kinds of medicinal herbs very well. Even if she met some unfamiliar herbs, she could use the foreseeing alchemy to quickly become familiar with them, and in order for you to reach her realm, this kind of experience is necessary. It also means that you have to improve and perfect your foreseeing alchemy. Su Meiyao walked over, caressed Chen Xiang's cheeks and comforted her. Bai Yu said, "You have a lot of medicinal ingredients, you should be a bit patient." Chen Xiang took a deep breath. With these two beauties encouraging him, he would definitely work hard. He placed the medicinal ingredients that Su Meiyao had processed into the Yanlong furnace and continued refining the heavenly thunder pill. Su Meiyao had said that the medicinal ingredients for these pure yuan pills and the heavenly thunder pill were rather special. They were both the type that could easily explode easily. If one could master these two types of pills well, Then when they met this type of high-leveled pills in the future, they wouldn't feel that it was difficult. He could only concoct one batch a day, spending the rest of the time concocting G.O.D's elixir. At the moment, he had a lot of herbs to concoct in bulk, and even though he did not need some, it looked very satisfying. For example, the soaring 9 deadly flower and various earth-grade herbs. Using his Li to suppress others made Chen Xiang feel at ease. At least, he didn't need to be like the other alchemists, unable to continue suppressing Chen Xiang because his consciousness was not strong enough. His Li was very strong and his use was much more efficient than his consciousness. It was already the 47th day. Chen Xiang looked at the electric pill inside the Yanlong furnace, and now, he had successfully mixed the thunder attribute true energy that he had poured into it with the thunder attribute energy from the medicinal ingredients into the pill, condensing it into a pill. What he needed to do now was to make this pill smaller. Right now, the pill was the size of a thumb, but Chen Xiang had to compress it to be the size of a soybean, in order to make the thunder-attributed energy inside have a higher density and quality, and a stronger power. It was the same with compressing his true energy into true essence particles. When he cultivated, the final step of compressing true essence was about the same as this. So at this time, he could be considered very relaxed. After he continuously released all sorts of uniform pressure, that rapidly spinning pill slowly shrank until it was the size of a bean. Done. Chen Xiang heaved a sigh of relief and shouted in surprise. Opening the lid of the pill furnace, Chen Xiang placed a light blue pill in his hands and sighed. It's been so long, and it's only this little, and also just one pill. It's not worth it. When you become proficient, it will be very easy for you to refine it. When that time comes, you can imbue it with even stronger thunder attribute true qi, which will be even more powerful, and it will not be difficult to deal with people in the middle and late stages of the spirit martial realm. Although you can't heavily injure them, it's still possible to affect them. This pellet of yours can only be considered to be of low quality. There is one benefit of this pellet of heavenly thunder: it can increase one's power, and when you become proficient in the future, you can use several batches of medicinal ingredients to refine it at the same time. The amount of thunder attribute true energy that you can pour in is even more, and you can also compress it to such a large extent. Chen Xiang did not dare to underestimate this heavenly thunder pill anymore, but he was unable to test it now. If it was suddenly thrown into someone's mouth and detonated during a battle, Bai Yu let out a cold laugh. That beautiful face was filled with cruelty, and couldn't help but Hi+ver. If someone else could swallow it and detonate it, then that person would definitely explode, causing their belly to bloom. The inside of a person was the weakest, and this kind of thing was truly sinister. Make another 10 or so pills. After you get familiar with them, you can then refine something even more powerful, the spirit erosion powder. Su Meiyao returned the heavenly thunder pill to Chen Xiang. This caused Chen Xiang to be secretly excited, and he continued to refine the heavenly thunder pills. Even though he had successfully refined one pill, it did not mean that he had become completely familiar with it. After he finished condensing it, he gave it to Su Meiyao to create a large amount of medicinal ingredient. Of course, he would need to refine more heavenly thunder pills, and when necessary, these would be good for his self-defense. It only took him 4 hours to make one. In a month, he had managed to make 50 pills. At first, he had failed several times, but later on, he had improved a lot. There are so many materials for the corrosive divine powder. Chen Xiang took a small breath. The ingredients for the God eroding powder came from the broken soul trees. They needed to refine the flowers, fruits, leaves, roots and branches of the broken soul tree into fine powder. When sprinkled on a person's body, it could quickly dissolve the person's flesh. It was extremely vicious, and belonged to a forbidden being. Of course, if Chen Xiang wanted to use it, he had to be extremely careful. Broken soul trees' flowers, leaves, and fruits were all pure white without any impurities at all. They all looked extremely strange and huge, and the size of Qin Xiang's palm was no wonder it was so big. Broken soul trees' flowers, leaves, and fruits were all pure white without any impurities at all. They all looked extremely strange and huge, and the size of Qin Xiang's palm was no wonder it was so big. A leaf, a flower, a drop of sap, a fruit, and a small chunk of tree root. This was the medicine used to refine the eroding powder that would cause people to feel fear in their hearts. Whether it was in heaven realm or the mortal realm, as long as one talked about this kind of thing, as long as one knew of it, their faces would turn pale. Refining the de-erosion powder can be said to be not difficult. You have refined a white jade powder. It's basically the same as that one. Maybe you will succeed in one attempt. The de-erosion powder is a material that is very rare. For something like the broken soul tree, once found, it will be destroyed by righteous people, and after a while, it will become extinct, and no one will dare to use it, because if they are found out, they will be faced with the endless pursuit of the righteous sex. Su Meiyao said with a serious face. I have never refined this kind of thing before, but my master told me about the refining process of the de-eroding powder. The higher the quality of the broken soul tree, the stronger the corrosive powder was, and it was impossible to guard against it. Even with an extremely strong protective armor and true qi, it was difficult to resist the corrosion of this heaven-defying thing. Even gods were afraid, let alone humans and immortals, so they were afraid of being held by the alchemists to threaten them, and so they joined forces to stop this terrifying thing. There is a way to prevent that. You just have to soak in the tree juice of the broken soul tree for 3 days and 3 nights, and the de-eroding powder won't be able to corrode you. It is said that it can prevent other kinds of energy from corroding you. By you said. Qin Xiang's eyes lit up and he laughed. We will soak together. If I soak alone, it would be too wasteful. Wouldn't it be difficult to grow this tree sap? Su Meiyao laughed and scolded. That's reasonable, but I can consider that. She looked at Qin Xiang lovingly, and even tousled her hair flirtatiously, causing Qin Xiang's heart to throb. There were indeed very little tree sap in the broken soul tree, and it would have to wait a period of time before it could grow them. Furthermore, the storage time was limited, and once one of them had said the required time limit, it would become ineffective. He had to be very careful in making the de-eroding powder. He had to wrap it with his soul consciousness to make it hang in the air. The things he stored had to be special or else they would be corroded. Looks like I need to soak in the tree juice of the broken soul tree as soon as possible, in case I run into a little bit of trouble. This was Qin Xiang's first time concocting a pill with someone as if he was facing a great enemy, causing him to be extremely nervous. He felt that he was not the only one who had to soak in it, even his own pill furnace had to soak in it to prevent it from being corroded. This Yanlong furnace would be considered a treasure even in the heaven realm. Even if it was destroyed, he would not be able to cry. The broken soul tree's tree sap was transparent. It was used to prevent the de-eroding powder from corroding each other, and the leaves, fruits, roots and flowers itself were nothing, but once combined together, they would possess an incomparably corrosive and dissolving force. Qin Xiang had to carefully refine them right now. These things were all on top of the same tree. Other than it being extremely difficult to melt, it was very simple to fuse them. The thing that Qin Xiang found difficult was that the control of fire was very high and required very subtle control of fire, otherwise the medicinal ingredients would be destroyed. Qin Xiang himself possessed the heaven and earth flame soul, and had also trained in the fire god method, so his control over fire had already reached a superb level. Therefore, when he was burning the medicinal ingredients, he was very relaxed. Refining pills together with the foreseeing alchemy was indeed as easy as Su Meiyao had said. Now Qin Xiang knew why the people above heaven realm were all so afraid of this thing, because while refining was simple, its killing power was strong. If a PPY alchemist obtained a high-quality broken soul tree, then some of the big heads above the heaven realm would not be able to sleep, because this type of colorless and tasteless etching powder, if it was quietly scattered a little, it would cause one's body to be tormented, and it would slowly dissolve. The corrosive power was very difficult to resist, and it dissolved at an extremely fast speed. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu had already entered the storage ring and used the God creation liquid to create the tree sap, but it was very slow. From this, it could be seen how much energy Broken Soul Tree required. In just 4 hours, Chun Xiang had refined a small box of God erosion powder. This powder was very exquisite, very small, and if it was just a little bit, it would simply be invisible, just like air, completely transparent. Right now, Chun Xiang was trembling in fear. He did not dare to use it carelessly, because if his finger touched even a little bit of it, his entire hand might even be corroded in an instant. Actually, it's not that scary. His mana is still able to resist this sort of thing. Long Shui said. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu had used up all the God creation liquid that Chun Xiang had condensed over the past few days, but they still managed to get a pool of the Broken Soul Tree's sap. Looking at the transparent liquid that was emitting a strange glow in the bathtub, Su Yun rubbed his hands as he looked at Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu with fiery eyes and said, "Am I supposed to soak in it first, then wait for you too? You can soak in the sap for 3 days and 3 nights, and the sap will be useless." As Su Meiyao said this, he began to take off his clothes, causing Chun Xiang to laugh wickedly in his heart. "Do you want to strip naked?" Chun Xiang asked seriously. "Not only is it incomplete, it will also be absorbed by the clothes." Su Meiyao's back was facing Chun Xiang and he quickly took off all his clothes. Seeing Su Meiyao's captivating jade body, Chun Xiang fiercely swallowed his saliva. His eyes went straight, and Su Meiyao quickly jumped into the water, but her slender snow-white her perky butt, and her slim waist were deeply imprinted in his mind. Just as he was in a daze, he heard another putong sound. Bai Yuyu had actually taken off his clothes and jumped into the water, while Su Meiyao was still in a daze. This made Chun Xiang extremely regretful in his heart. If not, he could have seen Bai Yuyu's jade body. Although he could only look at his back, it was enough. When it came to him, he wasn't afraid at all. He knew that these two beauties were bored to death in the ring. It wasn't the first time they saw his body, but it was enough to count every single hair on his body. He also jumped into the bath. The pool was not very big, so Chun Xiang and the two girls were very close. Originally, he could have used the clear Broken Soul Tree juice to block the two beauties' snow-white and round proud but who would have known that they would actually cover it with their hands? It was rare for him to have this kind of opportunity with these two exceptional beauties, but now these good things were actually blocked by them. It was rare for him to have this kind of opportunity with these two exceptional beauties, but now these good things were actually blocked by them. Seeing Chun Xiang's depressed expression, Su Meiyao smiled coquettishly. "Little scoundrel, to be able to make you look at me like this, you should be satisfied." Chun Xiang groaned deeply. "You have looked at me so many times, I have only seen you once, it is too unfair." Speaking of the matter of them spying on him, the two girls' faces suddenly flushed red. They had indeed seen Chun Xiang many times before. Just as Chun Xiang was about to close his eyes and be disappointed, the two jade hands that were covering his chest suddenly pulled away, causing Chun Xiang's pupils to constrict. His line of sight was focused on the two pink points on the snow peak, and as she was soaking in the transparent tree sap, she seemed even more beautiful, causing Chun Xiang to have difficulty breathing, and he could not help but take a deep breath. He never thought that Bai Yuyu would actually be so generous, and let him see it. From now on, you're not allowed to say anything about me stealing glances at you. Bai Yu coldly glared at Chen Xiang, her ice-cold face completely flushed red. This made this ice beauty appear extremely charming, and she actually had a kind of strange flirtatiousness, causing Chen Xiang to praise her repeatedly in his heart. Seeing Chen Xiang looking greedily at the beautiful jade peak on Bai Yu's chest, Su Meiyao suddenly felt that she was being ignored, and it was as if she had suddenly become air. She felt that she was a beauty at the same level as her senior. How could she be ignored by a man? Since Bai Yu was already this generous, Su Meiyao couldn't be more stingy. She felt that Chen Xiang had already seen it once in the past, so it wouldn't matter if she showed it to him again. Just as Chen Xiang was appreciating Bai Yu, he suddenly saw that Su Meiyao's hands had moved away as well, and there was another pair of crystal-clear, smooth, beautiful and plump big jade rabbits, and the two seductive cherry red points were left on them, captivating him and causing his blood to boil once again, causing his body to burn up. Su Meiyao was originally an enchantress who was so beautiful that it could drip water. At this moment, her charming expression made it harder for people to endure, and it made them wish that they could hug her. Seeing Chen Xiang's short breath, Su Meiyao laughed. "Little scoundrel, you can't hold yourself back anymore, right?" Chen Xiang suppressed the evil flame with luck. If he let the evil flame continue to burn, he would definitely do something. He let out a light breath. "Who said I could not hold it in? I knew it, you have a lecherous heart, but no guts." Bai Yu sneered, her eyes full of contempt. "What, Sister Yu, you want me to have Zul courage towards you?" Chen Xiang rubbed his hands together as he laughed. "If elder sister Yu needs anything, I am very happy to help." Although Chen Xiang did not dare to do anything to these two unparalleled beauties, he decided that he must obtain them in the future. After all, he felt that his relations, Hi+P with them had developed quite well. "You'll still have to soak in it for another 3 days and 3 nights. I'm sure you'll see enough of it. Look at you. You can't wait to grow a few pairs of eyes." Su Meiyao released a burst of bell-like laughter, her chest rose up and down, the jade rabbit shook, and waves rippled outwards, causing Chen Xiang's heart to groan. He really wanted to reach out and grab the beautiful white rabbit and play with it. "Can you sage me?" Chen Xiang suddenly asked. "No." Bai Yu immediately answered resolutely, and continued to look at him with that ice-cold gaze. Chen Xiang had already known that this would happen, so he did not hold much hope. Just as he was sighing, Su Meiyao's eyes widened in happiness and said in a sweet and flirtatious voice, "Since you have worked so hard for us all these years, I will sacrifice myself for you to touch." When Chen Xiang heard that sweet voice that made his entire body go numb, his bones went soft. He could not believe that it was true. He swallowed and asked, "Really?" "Of course it's true." Su Meiyao's face was extremely rosy, but she was not embarrassed at all. Instead, her current appearance made people even more intoxicated. Chen Xiang was so happy that he almost went mad. He hurriedly moved closer and carefully extended his hand out, placing it on one of Su Meiyao's jade peak. Su Meiyao felt that her chest, which she had never been touched by a man before, was being invaded, and her charming body trembled as she drooped her head down slightly. Her cheeks became even redder, completely revealing the fondness deep inside her bones. What surprised Bai Yu was that her junior sister Spirit Demon was actually touched by Chen Xiang to the point that she was gasping for breath, and looked like she was enjoying it a lot. Chen Xiang suddenly embraced Su Meiyao closer, his mouth moving closer to her. One of his hands was tightly hugging Su Meiyao's waist, the other was rubbing Su Meiyao's chest, while his tongue was frantically twisting and flicking her tongue. Both of them could feel each other's heartbeats at this moment, both of them were excited, Wisconsin H.I. Plusing that they could be more intimate with each other. However, both of them were very well coordinated, they could endure it and didn't make any further movements, just continuing to paw silently and crazily kiss each other, causing the water in the pool to undulate. Seeing Chen Xiang and Su Meiyao tightly wrapped together in front of him, naked body wrapped around, pas, silently kissing, Bai Yu suddenly had an indescribable feeling in her heart. She was actually secretly jealous, and looked at Chen Xiang and Su Meiyao with a gaze full of jealousy and bitterness. However, she did not reject him. At this moment she was already intoxicated by this kind of crazy pas shaun that was wrapped around her waist, and she had a wonderful feeling that this was the first time she had tasted this feeling since living so long, and it made her feel like she had lived for nothing. It was unknown how much time had said before the two of them finally separated, but the two of them still looked at each other deeply. That gaze was as if they hated each other to the point that they couldn't wait to eat each other, and Chen Xiang's hands were still on Su Meiyao's slender waist. "Sister Meiyao, I like you," Chen Xiang said while grinning, but his eyes were filled with deep feelings. "D.A.M. Ned, little scoundrel, you dare to attack me?" Su Meiyao's eyes contained the autumn waves as she looked at Chen Xiang with a hazy gaze. Leaning on Chen Xiang's shoulder, she said in a tender voice, "Big sis, I like you too." He had long known that it was very easy for a lonely and mature woman like Su Meiyao to obtain victory. Furthermore, she was a woman who had never tasted anything sweet before, and because she could not recover her strength, she had fallen to a state no different from a normal person's. "Humph, are you happy?" She made a decision a moment ago. Although she didn't have a deep feelings for Chen Xiang, but she felt that Chen Xiang was a man that she could recognize, and a man that she and Bai Yu had groomed together. Since it was trained by the two of them, they would definitely nurture Chen Xiang to a very good level. After capturing the beauty's heart, Chen Xiang was elated. He kissed Su Meiyao's forehead and then looked at Bai Yu. He had almost forgotten about this cold beauty. After capturing the beauty's heart, Chen Xiang was elated. He kissed Su Meiyao's forehead and then looked at Bai Yu. He had almost forgotten about this cold beauty. Bai Yu scoffed. "You guys can really mess around, you have to at least think about how other people feel." Chen Xiang also wanted to entangle himself with Bai Yu a little, but he knew that Bai Yu was unlike the spirit of Su Meiyao. Although Bai Yu would be more open-minded than him sometimes, that was only on the basis of her principles. The last time she kissed Chen Xiang was because she had promised Chen Xiang, and now that she was showing her chest to him, it was because she frequently looked at Chen Xiang. "Senior sister, you're jealous." Su Meiyao leaned on Chen Xiang's chest, affectionately hugging Chen Xiang, and laughed. Nope. It was impossible for her to not pay attention to Chen Xiang. Her previously cold and heartless heart was melted by Chen Xiang, and from a certain point of view, her feelings for Chen Xiang were even deeper than Su Meiyao's. Chen Xiang really wanted to go over and take care of Bai Yu right now, but Su Meiyao saw through his thoughts. She stepped on him strongly and used her consciousness to send a sound transmission to Chen Xiang. "I understand, senior sister, if you use that kind of method, only 30% of the time would succeed, and if you don't succeed, your relations H.I+P with senior sister would be extremely awkward. You have already melted her cold heart, so she definitely wouldn't be able to tolerate other men. You have to take it slowly." "Humph, what's more, you just got it, and now you want to take senior sister in consecutively? You're asking for a beating, little scoundrel." Su Meiyao actually showed him how to take Bai Yu in. Chen Xiang giggled and immediately hugged the beautiful girl tightly in his arms. Although both of them were red in color, it was naked, but he didn't have any other thoughts. He only felt that this kind of embrace would allow the two of them to be extremely close to each other, and Su Meiyao enjoyed Chen Xiang's warm and comfortable embrace very much. She hugged Chen Xiang tightly, pressed her face against his chest, and closed her eyes and fell asleep. Su Meiyao found a place to entrust her heart to, and suddenly felt a lot more relaxed. She had been wandering for so many years, but this was the first time she was able to place her feelings and everything else onto a man. The burden that was pressing down on her shoulders suddenly disappeared. Bai Yu's current emotions were extremely complicated, so she could only close her eyes and calm down. Chen Xiang could walk in front of Bai Yu with a single step, so even if he leaned against the side of the bath, he could still see Bai Yu's flawless body. The reason why Bai Yu and Su Meiyao were single for such a long time was because there were no men whom they took a fancy to was currently being nurtured by the two of them together, and his body was filled with the yin-yang divine veins that they bestowed upon him. The martial arts that he learned was also their absolute art, and it could be said that the achievements that Chen Xiang had achieved today were all because of them. They watched as Chen Xiang grew up, and they would also do their best to cultivate him into a rancor that was unparalleled in the world. They had confidence in themselves and also in Chen Xiang. Therefore, Su Meiyao thought that Chen Xiang would definitely be a man who would satisfy her in the future. At least, she was very satisfied with Chen Xiang now. After the two girls soaked in the broken soul tree juice for 2 days, Su Meiyao suddenly woke up. Bai Yu also opened her eyes, but Chen Xiang frowned, because he felt a strange energy suddenly flood into his body, and quickly flowed into his limbs and bones, and into his head. I didn't expect to finally see an effect after soaking in it for 2 days. Bai Yu said. In the past 2 days they had just felt the changes in their bodies. I thought you were going to sink your head. Chen Xiang felt the strange energy revolving inside his body, and laughed. Of course not. Once this energy disappears, I'll consider it a success. When Su Meiyao made contact with her gaze, she also wanted to kiss with Chen Xiang for a while, but she and Chen Xiang knew that they had to guess how Bai Yu would feel, so they just hugged. Su Meiyao saw that Chen Xiang was only carrying her and did nothing, and laughed. Little scoundrel, you're actually so honest. There will be plenty of chances to do bad things to you in the future. What's there to be anxious about? Chen Xiang used a great deal of willpower to suppress the evil fire in his heart, otherwise, something that was rising in his heart would stab at Su Meiyao. Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had only learned the 5th layer. Since they had not learned the devil-suppressing kung fu, they naturally could not understand it as thoroughly as Chen Xiang had, and still had to seek advice from Chen Xiang. Cultivating with 2 naked beauties, Chen Xiang felt that he had quite the luck in women. At this moment, he was also working extremely hard to guide the 2 girls on the cultivation of the 2 devil-subduing method. The energy that entered their bodies took a full 5 days before it disappeared. The 2 girls were the first to walk out of the bathing pool. Chen Xiang, who had endured for many days, could clearly see an even more deadly thing now. This made him unable to control himself. The evil fire almost exploded out. He suddenly wanted to go out quickly and find Xue Xianxian to have a good time, if not he would suffocate to death. Have you seen enough? If you haven't, I can take off my clothes and let you see enough. Bai Yu wore a beautiful purple long dress, revealing her n-o-bli temperament. Along with her naturally cold temperament, it made her look even more n-o-bli and elegant. Although it looked like she was 1,000 miles away from anyone, it made people want to get closer to her and get their hands on her. Chen Xiang did not think that Bai Yu would actually say such a thing, as he was becoming more and more open-minded. Enough. Chen Xiang took a deep breath. He had to be content with himself. Su Meiyao laughed tenderly. Senior sister, will you still give this brat such a big advantage next time? Bai Yu did not say anything. She knew that there would be a second time on the first try, but after this time, she felt that it would not be a big deal if she gave Chen Xiang an advantage in the future. Su Meiyao was the same as Bai Yu, wearing the same set of purple luxurious dresses. However, she seemed to be extremely flirtatious and n-o-bli, her mature charm carrying an unparalleled charm, causing Chen Xiang's heart to itch. These clothes were all bought by Chen Xiang, and only some of the better-looking clothes. He only bought 2 of them. Recalling the beautiful time he spent in the bath, Chen Xiang was elated. Chen Xiang could not waste the broken soul tree juice now, so he put it down. He knew that once the tree juice said the time, it would lose its effects, and he could still feel the energy in the tree juice. In the future, he would need to use this Yanlong furnace to refine all of the G.O.D. erosion powder, and he would inevitably be stained with some, so he had to see if this Yanlong furnace could be like humans, and absorb the energy from the broken soul tree. Chapter 553. Chapter 553. Right now, Chen Xiang had already learned how to refine 3 types of middle-grade profound rank pills, and the next was the profound level Shangping Dana. However, the ingredients were not ready yet, because the G.O.D. liquids were all used to make the broken soul tree juice. Since the Yanlong furnace will need to soak in it for a period of time, you should rest and properly condense and create the divine liquid. I can use this time to teach you some things regarding the profound level Shangping Dan's alchemy. Su Meiyao said in a gentle voice. Chen Xiang was now her lover, and the way she and Chen Xiang spoke was completely different from before. It made Chen Xiang's heart warm. When refining pills, as long as it was not a restriction of medicinal herbs, one would first learn to refine more practical pills. Most of the unorthodox pills were just for practice. The mystical sun-fire pill that Chen Xiang was currently preparing to refine was something that he had refined a long time ago. He had the flaming 9 suns fruit and the fire soul GRAS. These pills were what people who cultivated the fire attribute would need the most to strengthen their flames. However, Su Meiyao had said that this was the best pill to feed the fire spirit, and it was said that it could even help the fire spirit evolve. Of course, Chen Xiang's current flames and soul flames were extremely strong. If they were strengthened any further, it would be unknown just how powerful they would be, but he felt that he did not really need them. There were only 20 to 30 sets of profound yang fire pills, which was not enough for Chen Xiang, so he still had to make more, and even if he succeeded, he would need to make at least 10 more sets to familiarize himself with the next type. I think it would be best for you to use your time in the stellar transposition realm to cultivate. From the way you are learning how to refine pills, your learning speed is very fast. You only need a large number of ingredients to fail you. But if you want to refine an earth-level pill, not only will you need medicinal ingredients, your strength will also have to keep up. Bai Yu suddenly said. Chen Xiang frowned. He was planning to refine an earth-level pill in one go. Su Meiyao said, Senior sister is not without reason. With your current speed, you will definitely be able to learn how to refine an earth-level pill within 2 to 3 years. How about this? Change your plans. Your main goal here is to cultivate and condense the G.O.D. creation liquid. This way, after you leave, you will have enough strength and create the G.O.D.'s liquid. At that time, you can even fail to refine a type of pill a few hundred times. Now that Chen Xiang had learned the fire God method, through the tempering method in the Raging Inferno Dantian and fire God method, even if he increased his strength quickly, there would not be any problems. This way, he wouldn't need to find trouble with Huang Jintian. The last time he participated in the martial contest of the king, he entered the evil demon and obtained over 100 demon hearts, as well as a few beast core and beast core above them. Although these things were not as many as the Black Rock Jiao's beast core previously, with such a large number, he would still be able to increase his strength by a large margin. Right now, he was already at the middle stage of the spirit martial realm, and was extremely eager to obtain strong power as soon as possible. There were hundreds of these things, and they contained a lot more energy than pure yuan pills. Previously, he didn't find a good way to swallow them, so he never used them to cultivate and only used them to concoct pills. And these demon heart beast core that contained pure energy would be instantly refined by the power of refinement that was released by the raging fire in his dantian as soon as it entered his dantian. Chen Xiang's body was now like a furnace. as long as it contained the mind consciousness left behind by dregs or some demon beast evil demon s, once it touched the melting power, it would be completely melted away. Is this the body refinement realm of the fire God method? It looks like it's going to be very painful. I wonder what it will be like when you combine it with the profound physical exercise. Chen Xiang was not only training his innate qi, he was also training his physical body. He was planning to cultivate his innate qi for a month and then train his physical body for another month in order to balance and build a firm foundation. When he started to refine according to the body tempering manual on the fire God method, he saw that the raging inferno dantian had suddenly absorbed a large amount of his true energy and ignited a raging fire in his dantian. At this time, he suddenly felt a burning pain all over his body. In just an instant, every part of his body was being burned by that strange flame, making him feel incomparable pain. In the past, when he used this method to cultivate, pain would always come from the outside, but now it would burst out from the inside. Although it was also very painful, it was just that he was unable to adapt to the pain for a while. The thing that surprised him the most was that, after he had cultivated the body tempering technique, his Zhen Qi had been drained very quickly. In just half a day, more than half of it had been drained. But now it was being consumed so quickly. Of course, Chen Xiang quickly found the reason, because when he was cultivating this technique, he would create an indescribable pressure that rushed forth and clashed against his body, acting as a tempering force. Fortunately, he had a solid foundation. Otherwise, he would not be able to hold on for so long. A day had passed, and he was completely exhausted. All his true qi had been used up, and his body had been tormented to the point where he had no strength left. However, as his amazing recovery rate recovered, he felt that this method of body tempering was very effective. He rested for a good half a day, waiting for his true qi to recover before continuing. He wanted to continue like this for a month. Now, he knew that no matter how much he trained, he would never be able to avoid the torture of pain. However, in order to obtain strength and not be oppressed by others, he had to endure it. Every time he came out, he would unavoidably entangle himself with Chen Xiang and let Chen Xiang take advantage of him. Even though Chen Xiang did not completely get Su Meiyao, he was extremely satisfied with himself now, because he had already thought of this a long time ago. During the dry and arduous process of cultivation, there was a woman who consoled him, which allowed him to be filled with motivation. 8 years passed, in the blink of an eye, and Chen Xiang had long since entered the late stage of spirit martial realm. After entering the late stage of the spirit martial realm, he had condensed a total of 1,000 true essence grains, and obtained a total of 9 times the power of giving, which caused the 5 beast statues in his dantian to light up a total of 20,000 true essence grains. At the moment, his true qi was extremely dense, but compared to the 5 giant ancient beast statues, these 20,000 true essence grains seemed insignificant, which would constantly remind him of how insignificant his power was.